We'll call to order the June 14th meeting of the Williamson County Board of County Commissioners. Would like to have our invocation and our pledge to the flag tonight. I'd like to ask Commissioner Ricky Jones if he would to have the invocation for us. We'll ask you to stand for that in the pledge to the flag. We'll ask Brother Bert Chalfant, Commissioner Chalfant, to lead us, if you would please. Please stand.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that you have given us as citizens of the United States of America and as citizens of the state of Tennessee and Williamson County. We ask that you be with us, commissioners, tonight as we go about our business of representing the people of Williamson County, and may we be mindful of all the views, and may we vote our conscience tonight and for the citizenship and what will be best for all of us. Be with us each. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate each of you being here tonight. If you are present for the meeting tonight, if you press your white button so that we can have a record of your attendance at the meeting tonight. Commissioner Bain, there we go. Ms. Anderson, if you would record our attendance, please.
I have 24 present.
Thank you very much. Certainly thank each of you for being here this evening. The first item that's on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular May 10, 2010 County Commission meeting. Each of you received copies that have been sent out. I'll entertain a motion. Second. Motion is made and seconded by Commissioner Chalfant, second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Show it so ordered. Unanimous adoption. Introduction and acceptance of the Highway Commission minutes. These were sent out to you in the mail after adoption by the Highway Commission Board last week. I'll entertain a motion to accept those. Commissioner Cook, the motion. Commissioner Wilson, the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Show that unanimous acceptance and adoption of the Highway Commission minutes. Citizens communication is the next item that's on the agenda. Each of you are very aware of the rules and guidelines under which this body operates. A 15-minute time period is set aside for citizens' comments at each of the meetings of the County Commission. Those that are interested in speaking should sign up, and they have. Should there be more than 5 individuals signed up to speak, the 15-minute time period will be evenly divided among all speakers.
We have 11.
And tonight we have 11. So I will be monitoring each speaker to be within the minute and a half situation. We'll be looking about 15 minutes for the 11 folks that are here. The first sign-up person that we have, and I will ask you to come to the center microphone here at the podium. Give us your name and address for the record and what you're wishing to speak about. The first one that signed up is Mr. Rob Anderson. Commissioner Cook?
Can we change the rules for tonight so that people could have more than 1 minute to speak? I know we've done that in the past.
What's your motion?
Give them at least 2 minutes apiece.
Okay, our rules are that the proper motion would be to suspend the rules.
Yes.
And if that's your motion and there's a second, and then if there are any objections, there are 2 objections to suspending the rules, of course we'll follow the rules. So is your motion to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Is there a second? Commissioner Wilson, the second. Are there any objections? Raise your hand. Commissioner Parra, Commissioner Lynch, Commissioner Smith, so Commissioner Barnwell, Commissioner Williams, so we do have 2 objections, so we will follow the rules and guidelines that are laid out and allow each speaker, as we have 15 minutes, and I'll do my best to keep up with that 15-minute timeline with 11 people. So without further ado, Mr. Anderson, we'll allow you to start, sir.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate tonight to give the opportunity to speak to this commission body. I would like to speak on the handgun permitting law in the parks. I would like to speak in favor of allowing permit holders to carry in parks. I base this on Jesus, Luke 22, let him sell his raiment and buy a sword for self-defense. The founding fathers wrote that we should pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the Second Amendment, which we all know, the right to keep and bear arms, is the only one of the 10 that dealt with private property. Why not the plow? Why not the horse? Why not the hearth? And also, let's bring it down to the state. Article 1, Section 26, which is Tennessee's Second Amendment, if you will, is that the citizens of the state have a right to keep and bear arms for their common defense, but the legislature shall have power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. Our legislature has allowed us to wear arms as permit holders. Now, 3 years ago, we met in a situation similar as this, situation where the county wanted us to ban permit holders from any Williamson County owned, maintained, or leased property. Now, that motion did not make it to the floor, but it was unanimous that that was a bad motion. Since that time, I let the facts reflect that there has been no permit holder crime involved in Williamson County property. I also would invite you to look at police statistics in parks, that there is gang-related, drug-related, sexual crimes, assault and battery, and other felonies in our parks. Permit holders are like police. We want to go home at the end of the day. We protect our families, we protect ourselves. Law enforcement is here to protect society, not the individual. The courts have held that.
Wrap up, please.
Thank you. And so I'd like to close with a quote by Edward Gibbons, who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Most people think the U.S. and Rome follow in parallel. There were 5 reasons, the 5th of which pertains to tonight. That is, the existence of an internal conspiracy working to undermine the government from within, all the time that the government was proclaiming that Rome's enemy was external. I think tonight the facts show that the fear is unfounded of external permit holders causing a threat to the community and parks. Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Bill Robinson.
I've read your resolution and also the resolution of the...
Identify yourself, please, with your
I'm sorry, I'm Bill Robinson, Franklin, Tennessee.
address.
7905 Oscar Green Road.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I've read your resolution and also the resolution of the school board, and if you wade through all the legalese, the whereases and such, both bodies state that they are strong supporters of the Second Amendment. I hear that a lot lately, usually just before politicians vote to weaken that same amendment, I might add. Tonight, you're about to vote on legislation that would remove the right of trained, licensed, background-checked, law-abiding citizens to carry handguns in county parks. I happen to be one of those citizens, and I say to you, unlike your counterparts in Washington, you can't say you support the Second Amendment in this county and then vote the opposite way. The proponents of this ban use the mantra, it's for the safety of the children. I am unaware of a plague of concealed carry permit holders harming the children in this county or anywhere else for that matter. Permit holders have a better safety record with guns than most off-duty police officers. When I was in high school many years ago, I grant you, I was a member of the school shooting team. I carried my cased rifle on the school bus once a week. I was never a threat to any of my fellow students or anyone else for that matter. Now, times have changed. but the law and law-abiding citizens have not? Are we going to make useless laws against inanimate objects and guns, or do we uphold the Constitution and realize that the right to self-defense does not end at a park boundary or any other arbitrary boundary? If the federal government, never one to be friendly to the Second Amendment, can see fit to allow guns to be carried in national parks, why is this a problem in our county? If there is a conflict with TCA Law 39-17-1309, which you state in your resolution, and the school board also, the law which prohibits guns on school grounds and school events, then why don't you as a body work to change the law to apply only to immediate school grounds?
Time's up, sir.
Okay. In closing, I ask you not to compound a misguided and short-sighted law by passing another misguided and short-sighted law. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Hammond, please.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Hammond, and I live at 1681 Brightway Place in Brentwood. I stand before you tonight as a resident of Williamson County for the past 12 years. My husband joins me. He is an avid hunter and a gun owner. We also have 3 children. Many of my friends and peers are here as well tonight, people who too value the quality of life that we have here in Williamson County. We are not against our national right given through the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms, but we are unequivocally against the carrying of guns in our county parks. We asked you to once and for all vote down the allowed presence of guns in our parks, to follow the lead of our associated cities of Brentwood, Franklin, and Fairview. Recognize one adverse effect that allowing guns in parks may cause. I refer to the possible elimination of a number of sports, including baseball, softball, soccer, tennis, swimming, cross country, and golf. Resulting Title IX issues may eliminate other sports. In providing funds for the construction of a number of schools in the past, an allowance was not made by the Commission for land on which to build sporting facilities. Instead, a symbiotic relationship was given to share county park space. Thousands of dollars have been given by the parents and by the schools to then improve these park grounds. Unless new facilities would be built, which would cost millions of dollars, these symbiotic relationships will be compromised. Perhaps a better solution would be for the county to give those lands to the school system. Would you be willing to do that? We believe some of the same prohibitive influences exist for the general population.
Time's up, please.
What sort of message are we sending to about our parks? Are they unsafe? And do we need to protect ourselves? Please vote no permanently against guns in parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Owens, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Craig Owens, and I reside at 405 Founders Point Boulevard here in Franklin. Taking a logical and a practical look at this, for those that may have doubts as to whether the children shouldn't coexist with lawful handgun carry permit holders, may I suggest that we reconsider the next time you visit or take your children to a McDonald's or a Starbucks or the Walmart or Kroger's, because there is a very good chance that there are illegal HCP owners there, and there's been no blood spilled as a result of that. It's been reported that the school board may have to make arrangements if this fails. If the school board is the school board telling us that they will no longer take field trips to venues where lawful guns may be present? Will the school board be canceling the high school homecoming parades because the streets of Franklin allow for HCP? Will they stop our students from visiting Williamson County's own historic Carter House or the Carnton Plantation? I visited with both of them today, spoke with their staff. They said they host thousands of children every year on field trips, and a high percentage of them are from right here in Williamson County. Will they stop visiting those historic parks because they welcome lawful HCP owners? I realize that some may wish this to be an emotional topic, but you can't what if your way through life. The bottom line, I believe that law-abiding handgun carry permit holders have proven themselves trustworthy, and there is no credible evidence that would logically suggest that they should be banned from carrying concealed in our public park system. Please discount all those horrible scenarios and all those what-ifs that you may hear and vote no to this resolution. Again, I want to thank you for your time and your service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gerald R. Van Dam.
My name is Gerald R. Van Dam from Franklin, Tennessee, 308 Springhouse Circle. I'm a blessed man. I live in the United States of America, and I'm a blessed man because I live in the state of Tennessee. I'm also a blessed man because I have two sons, both of them who serve in the United States military. My oldest son is in the Air Force. My second oldest son just got commissioned into the Army. And when he was commissioned into the Army, they said an oath. They took an oath, not to the President of the United States, not to a senator, not to a congressman, and not to a commissioner. They took an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America. Part of that Constitution, ladies and gentlemen, is the Second Amendment. Now tonight when we all stood up and we faced that flag. And we talked, one of the things that we talked about is liberty. And there's a lot of liberty being taken away from us in the last few years, if not 10 years or more. And make no mistake, the woman sitting behind me, she made a nice passion plea to you about the children. All right? Wonderful. Are you going to take the liberties away from us and our children? All this speech is that we can't have guns here and we can't have guns there. What it is, ladies and gentlemen, is death of our liberty by 1,000 cuts. One little cut at a time. First it's the grocery stores, then it's the parks. We've already gone through this whole thing about restaurant carry. The will of the people got served there. The governor vetoed it, and both the House and the Senate overrode it. The people are getting the message, and the people will act. And they will keep record, and I will be keeping record tonight who votes for and against this. And if you're my person in Williamson County, I'll make sure I work real hard to get you unelected. Thank you. I will give the balance of my time to my other peers.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Nathan Dozier.
Nathan Dozier, 5103 Albert Drive, Brentwood, Tennessee. Good evening, and I thank you all for the time and the opportunity to speak in your time here. In an increasing menacing society, staying relatively safe and staying armed seem to be synonymous. As we grow older, and I'm over 60, we lose some, if not many, of our physical powers, such as size, strength, flexibility, stamina, endurance, prowess, stealth, speed, and reaction time. You and/or your loved ones become more vulnerable to predators in parks and in everywhere else. This is how it works in the animal kingdom, and this is the same as it works in the human kingdom. Fortunately, the gun can serve as an equalizer of sorts, allowing you and/or your loved ones to perhaps even the odds or tilt them in your favor until help arrives, should there be an incident. Few violent criminals fear guns or other deadly weapons. However, jailhouse interviews reveal that many, though not all, violent criminals do fear the resolute person holding the gun is someone to fear. It's like a cat backed against a wall. You're going to get hurt unless you back off. What does the cat have to lose but his or her life? When you've been alive for 6 decades or more, you've no doubt seen or been involved in numerous experiences and scrapes. At this point in life, you have either the instinct for survival or you don't, and you wouldn't have lived this long if you didn't. We do not have the resources nor the manpower to be supplying every citizen in every park personal protection. I am in favor of handgun carry. I am a handgun carry permit holder, and I am against any law limiting any such thing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Dozier. Tony Fortner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm changing gears a little bit. I'm here to talk to you. I'm Tony Fortner, 7941 Kinsey McCord Road in Prim Springs, Tennessee, and that's District 1. But I'm here to talk about the pets of Williamson County, and we do have a resolution come up tonight. It's 6-10-7, and just wanted to advise everybody that this is not something that came up immediately or quickly. We have a task force that began in February of '09, and we have been working diligently every month on that, and it's a very diverse group of people. So it's not coming from one side of the fence or the other. I think we've got all the bases covered. But I just want to let you know that we have worked hard on this along with our group at the task force.
Thank you, sir. Christopher Boson.
Good evening. Christopher Boson, 9646 Brass Valley Drive in Brentwood, Tennessee. Since we are limited on time, thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I'll get right to it. I am here tonight about Resolution 6-10-11, and I want to compare it to an issue that you may have recently read about. That was the rezoning of property to build a mosque in the city of Brentwood, where I live. A lot of discussion went on about that. What it came down to was that people reminded them it was not an issue about freedom of religion that was being dealt with. It was an issue of zoning. It was not that they said, well, you shouldn't have a mosque in Brentwood. It was just that this isn't the right place to build this mosque. I want to remind you tonight that what you're dealing with is not a Second Amendment issue. What you're dealing with tonight is not an issue of the right to bear arms. Nor is it truly a child safety issue or a personal safety issue, nor is it actually an issue of whether or not legal handgun carry permit holders are responsible. I believe that they are, or they wouldn't be legal handgun permit carry holders. What you're really looking at is a legality and a financial issue. A legality issue in that the Tennessee State Legislature has two laws that are in conflict. One states that you can carry weapons of any sort in a public park. The other states that you cannot carry a weapon at a scholastic event in any building or location where that's available. Unfortunately, what you're tasked with is the legality of that. If you do not opt out of this law tonight, what will happen is 30,000 plus students in the Williamson County schools will not be able to do baseball, softball, soccer, issues like that. And you would do that to serve 6,000 approximately handgun carry permit holders in this county. It is a legality issue that you're facing. Unless this body is willing and prepared to write a blank check to the school system to provide new facilities for those students, those 30,000 plus students, you must opt out of this law. It was in the newspaper this weekend by our county mayor, who I respect what he's done, but he said in terms of raises that the school system could find the money if they wanted to give their employees raises. I fear as a parent of two children, will you say the same thing when my son wants to play baseball and can't do it because you've allowed guns in parks? Will this body say if the school system wants a baseball field, they can find the money for it? I hope not. I hope that if you will opt out of this option tonight on a legality basis, not the emotional basis of Second Amendment, because that's not what's at hand. It's just legality and financial. Upwards of $30 million it would cost, estimates have revealed, to replace the facilities that would be sacrificed if you allow this. And those 30,000 students, I think, not for their safety, but for their opportunity, outweigh the 6,000. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Cindy Scalfie.
Hi, my name is Cindy Scalfie. I live at 7296 Deer Ridge Road in Fairview. And I'm one of the people with the task force that was in the subcommittee and had the charge of working diligently on these rules and regulations and revisiting all of these rules and regulations. And I, too, wanted to just say that we pored over every word of this of the rules and regulations, and we, with the intent in mind to support the welfare of the dogs and cats in our county, as well as the responsible pet owners in our county. And we were a very diverse group, and we did come to consensus. No one really thoroughly got probably exactly what they wanted, but we sure feel like it's a very, very good document that we've written. And I just wanted to say, too, that you know, we tried to deal with the problems that we see. I'm a certified pet dog trainer and behaviorist as well in our county, and I see things every day of what our issues are, what our problems are, aggression, you know, running at large, lack of socialization, things that happen that we really tried to address, sheltering problems, care problems, and those kinds of basic things. The rabies, etc. We really tried to address the things that are important to everyone in the county. And I just wanted to stand up in front of you all tonight and say that we worked very, very hard, and we hope for your support in passing these current rules and regulations that we worked on. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Logan, please.
I'm Ann Logan. I live at 143 Yorktown Road in Franklin. Being the last, I'm almost certain to repeat, but very briefly, some of the things that you've heard, because there have been some really good points made about your resolution governing dogs and cats in our county. Again, as Cindy said, that effort, which stretched over a year's time, began with a subcommittee which included Lisa Carson. So we had her advice and insight every step of the way. We researched other communities in Tennessee and what they did and what seemed then to be a fitting application to Williamson County. We attempted to, I think, look at the issues from both the standpoint of those who are irresponsible pet owners and those who are responsible pet owners, so that hopefully we covered some areas where responsible pet owners are afforded more protection, if you will, from the acts of irresponsible pet owners, and we gave our animal control officers rules and regulations to use in managing irresponsible pet owner behavior and the consequences in the behavior of their animals. So we hope that you are looking at this seriously. I know that you are, and just know that, again, as Tony mentioned, there was a consensus over the entire task force that had to be brought to bear after the initial subcommittee's work. So it does reflect a lot of research, a lot of effort, and a lot of different people from different perspectives viewing what we put forth. So we thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Leonard Embody.
Leonard Embody, 6620 Valley Drive, Brentwood, Tennessee, 37027. I've been living in the county for a while now, and I'm all for the Second Amendment and guns in parks, and I like guns, like carrying guns. The problem is that in Tennessee, handguns, playing devil's advocate here, handguns don't have to be holstered. Handguns can be slung around with a sling on your back, on your chest. Handguns defined in Tennessee Code Annotated 39-11-106 is the barrel length has to be less than 12 inches long, which means a handgun can be this long, and someone can be carrying around a handgun that long in a Williamson County park. Examples of that would be the Vector V51P, which is a .308 Winchester pistol, AR-15 pistols, AK-47 pistols. You have the PLR-16 pistol, the Puma Bounty Hunter pistol. They're all big pistols, about that big, and they can all be slung on someone's back. And if you guys, if the commission decides to not vote for the resolution and allow handguns in parks. Those are the types of handguns which will be allowed in the Williamson County parks. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That concludes the citizens' communication for our session tonight. Communications and messages, and let me take care of some business here before we go through the communications and message. We've got a couple of proclamations, but let me also state as we enter into the debate and discussion tonight, there are several issues that are on the agenda that we will be taking into consideration tonight. I will remind you that this is the legislative body of Williamson County. We will absolutely not allow any outburst of any sort. If we see that, the deputies and the sheriff will very politely escort you to the parking lot. Secondly, if you have any pieces of communication equipment such as pager, telephone, cell phone, please have it on silence, because if it goes off, you'll also be watching the show from the parking lot. So certainly we'd like to ask your help. This is the legislative body of the county, and certainly you're here to be heard, and we'll allow that to happen, but we'll allow that to happen under the rules under which this body operates in order to effectively carry out the business of Williamson County. That being said, we have Resolution 61024. That's a resolution amending these are late file resolutions that have been given to you that are on the agenda for tonight. 61024 is amending the attorney's budget for consideration. Is there any objection whatsoever to Resolution 61024? Any objection to hearing that resolution tonight as a late file resolution? I see no objection, so we'll add that it's on the agenda under the appropriations. Resolution 61025 is a partial payment for property taxes resolution that is presented tonight as late filed, and that is listed under the other portion of the agenda. Any objection to adding that as a late filed resolution to be heard this evening? Any objections whatsoever? I see none, so that will stay on the agenda at 61023, the last item under other. 61026 is a late, excuse me?
It's the one that has been passed out.
Okay. 61026 is the litter grant resolution that's been passed out to you tonight. Please review that information. Resolution 61026, a litter grant. Any objection to hearing 61026 in our resolution tonight? Any objections whatsoever? I see none, so we'll add Resolution 61026 as the last resolution under appropriations. Excuse me, goes under other, okay? So we'll put that under other. There it is. Can't read my own writing. So it's under the last one that's under other. And then we've got Resolution 61027, a resolution appropriating and amending the 2009-10 Board of Equalization budget. 61027. That's will be the last one under appropriations. 61027, Board of Equalization. Any objection to adding that as a late file resolution this evening to our agenda? I see no objection. I would like to ask your indulgence to allow the chair permission, and with no objection, I would like to move Resolution 61023. This is a resolution to approve a payment in lieu of taxes program for the Jackson National Life folks. They're here tonight, and several of their folks are here. I would like your permission, if there's no objection to that, to move that to hearing it under the first resolution for other. Any objection in moving up Resolution 61023, and we'll hear that as the first resolution under the other portion of the agenda. Any objection to moving that up? And that way these gentlemen can make their presentation and head on out. I've also had a request from several commissioners to move the resolution, and we'll do 61023, and then I would like permission to move up the Guns in Park resolution to follow immediately after that resolution. Any objection to that? So we'll, under other, we'll hear the presentation on the payment in lieu of taxes from our folks from Jackson Life, Jackson National, and then we'll go into the Guns in Park at that point and hear that after that. Any objection to doing that? Very well. I see none. We're moving on now to communications and messages, and I'll recognize Commissioner Mayor Rogers Anderson as it relates to the proclamation declaring June 20th through June 26, 2010 as Amateur Radio Week. Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, I'm going to step forward in the well and give you this proclamation and let you read it. At the same time, I would ask that Mr. Hilton Dean step forward.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation declaring June 20th through June 26, 2010 as Amateur Radio Week. Whereas there are several hundred federally licensed amateur radio operators residing in Williamson County and surrounding counties, more than 170 of whom are registered members of the Williamson County Amateur Radio Emergency Service, WCARES, or WCARES. And whereas WCARES members have consistently demonstrated their commitment to public service by willingly volunteering their individual time and utilizing their personal radio equipment at no cost for the benefit of the citizens of Williamson County in order to provide a source of reliable radio communications support during natural disasters and other public emergency situations. And whereas in addition to their regular participation in local emergency communications training exercises, Williamson County amateur radio operators actively participate in an annual nationwide field day communications exercise sponsored by the American Radio Relay League, the National Association for Amateur Radio. And whereas the 2010 field day exercise will take place on June 26th and 27th. Now therefore be it resolved that this Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session on this 14th day of June 2010 hereby proclaim the week of June 20th, 2010 through June 26th, 2010 as Amateur Radio Week. In recognition and appreciation of the continuing public service contributions made by Williamson County amateur radio operators who provide a reliable source of emergency radio communication support when all else fails, and calls upon all citizens of Williamson County to join us in this worthy tribute. This is signed by me as Chairman of the County Commission and signed by Mayor Rogers Anderson.
Thank you, Houston. Mr. Dean, we are most grateful for all your hard work and all the amateur groups. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Mr. Chairman and all members of the Commission, we wish to thank you for this recognition and your continued support of our work to be ready to support you in times of emergency, and we pledge our continued effort along those lines. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, you don't get the opportunity very often to pull the wool over someone's eyes. And the next proclamation, I'm going to ask Judge Easter to step forward here, if he would, please. Judge Easter, I'm going to let you do the introductions, the reading of the proclamation, and the people that you'd like to come up here have at it. It is always great to get Gail Moria Harris. You understand that.
Bob, John. Come on up, Ms. Harris. I'm going to let the president of the Drug Court Board read this proclamation since he's the one who prepared it.
When I put this together with Judge Harris's help, I got to thinking about how we're going to pull this off. And so I called him and told him pretty much how it turned out. And I said, okay, Don, the rest is up to you on how you get her here. And then I was out in the parking lot tonight, and he rushed down and he said, Bob said, she thinks we're here to protect my office. You know, she thinks the commissioners are going to take it away, and she's in there politicking to get them not to do it. He said, what should I do? I said, just let it ride. Maybe you'll really get a great office out of this. I've been chairman of the board of the drug court for a few years now and worked very closely with this. We had a proclamation last month for which I thank you very much. It was wonderful that you do this. We do wonderful works, and some of you come to our graduations. Many of you do. We really appreciate that. There can be some real tearjerkers. We turn lives around. Thank you very much. Very key to that in the past few years, has been Gail Moria Harris. And she has worked diligently in promoting drug court and getting funding for drug court and doing hands-on work with all those people. She knows them all very personally and can tell you some great, sometimes sad stories about their lives. So it was my pleasure to work with her husband in drawing up this proclamation. And with your forbearance, let me read it. I've tried to make it brief, but it's hard with a person who's done so much for this county. Whereas Gail Moria Harris has served as 21st Drug Court Coordinator from 2002 until the present, during which time she has also served as President of the Tennessee Association of Drug Court Professionals, held membership in the Drug Court Advisory Committee and the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, and whereas as a civically active citizen of Williamson County, she has served as County Commissioner, representing the 8th District, Chairman of the County Economic Development Council, Chairman of the County's Industrial Development Board, and on the Board of Directors of various organizations in our county, including the Community Housing Partnership, the YMCA of Cool Springs, the YMCA of Middle Tennessee, and the Williamson County Public Library. She's also the former president of the Tennessee Bar Association. And whereas Gail has accumulated a long record of distinguished service to Williamson County, it is fitting and proper that she be recognized upon her resignation as 21st Drug Court Coordinator. And now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Williamson County, meeting in regular session on this 14th day of June 2010, that this proclamation of appreciation is hereby awarded to Gail Moria Harris, in appreciation for her many leadership services to the citizens of this county and in helping shape and preserve the character and quality of life herein. In witness hereof, County Mayor has signed it. Commissioner Wilson has also signed it. Gail, God bless you.
As y'all know, that I do have a passion for the program that we have in Williamson County and the 3 other counties that are part of our judicial district. I have asked the board and the team to allow me to continue to be associated with the drug court. For family reasons, one of them's in my arms. It does take an awful lot of resources and energy to make a program be effective, but I can tell you it's serving the best interest of all of our citizens of the 21st Judicial District. But it is time to back off and spend time with family members that need, and this is one of them. I have almost 10. We're waiting for the 10th one to come along. But I do appreciate the support that you commissioners have done. You have always been supportive, both in your appearance at the events to support the participants of the drug court, but also for your kind words, your encouragement, everything. And of course, no program is one person. Judge Easter, the members of the team that are here behind me, some of those serve as both team members, which means that they donate their time to make this work. And they also serve as board members, such as Bob Adjent. Bob Boland is here. Vanessa Bryant, of course, is the public defender. She serves both as a team and a board member. Referee Sharon Guffey was a former team member, but when she took other positions in leadership, she became a board member. And we just have a fine support. The judges of Williamson County and the Judicial District have continued to support us, and I thank Judge Bivens for being here along with Judge Easter. Judge Bivens took a week out of his schedule in order to go to the National Association of Drug Court Professionals annual training conference to gain even more information about how we can help our citizens. So this has been a surprise. I was all geared up to challenge how y'all could possibly take the closet away from Judge Harris, but I'm glad I won't have to do that, because I didn't know what.
Are you recommending we leave him in the building?
Just leave him in the closet. I think that would be the best thing. So thank you very much. I appreciate, and this is truly a surprise. Y'all didn't pull the wool over me.
Thank you very much, and we certainly thank Gail for her service, many years of contribution to an excellent program that has served our county very well in the drug court. Any other proclamations, Mayor? Is that all you got up your sleeve? We'll now recognize Mayor Rogers Anderson for his report to us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could have David Coleman to give us a snapshot of the financial conditions of Williamson County.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we'll kind of highlight the three areas that we try to bring to you each month. The first of all is the report from the Cool Springs Conference Center for the month of April. We do not have their May report at this time. As you recall, they've had a pretty rough winter. We've had some months that they were down pretty much. We do have a positive month. It's not huge. It's $8,000, but it is positive, and that's headed in the right direction. So we're glad to see that. In an effort to try to get you caught up on the monthly reports, we did just get the May numbers finally today, and so you have April and May. But looking at May through 11 months, everything appears to be in order. The revenue budgets, there are two of those that are exceeding where we'd normally see them in this time of year. The others are certainly in line with that. The highway budget is at 84%. A lot of that money comes from the state, so theirs comes in a little more differently than the other funds. Down in the expenditure section, again, everything appears to be in line, and it's under the percentage at this time of the year, with the exception of the two debt service funds, and all of their payments for debt and interest at this point in time have been made through the year, so that's why they appear to be a little heavy at that point in time. Then the final report tonight is the privilege tax report for the month of May, and then you have the chart that we've been giving you monthly along with that. And as we talked last time, we were up for a couple of months over last year. cautiously optimistic about that. We have slid back down a little bit for the month of May, and we just hope that that will turn around and we'll see some more improvement during the summer and fall. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Coleman? I see none. Thank you, David.
Mr. Chairman, I will not spend a great deal of time on my remarks because you've got a full schedule here tonight, but I do want to say thank you for moving the Jackson National Life Insurance Company up on the agenda. We have two people that will be here to address, Mr. John Brown and Tom Trent. Mr. Brown is the Vice President of Government Relations for the company, and Tom is from legal counsel, will be here. It's interesting to me to observe for the last 45 minutes or so that you all have been in session. What a wonderful country and what a wonderful county we live in, that we can have the dialogue, pro and con, and then have the recognition of well-worth people such as Gail Moyer Harris that have served this county for 20-plus years and done an outstanding job. It is just a wonderful place in which to live. No wonder people want to move here. And no wonder businesses want to move here also, such as Jackson, that are moving here and bringing 750 jobs over a window of opportunity. And this was the efforts of Matt Largent, of his hard work and his diligent work, working with the appropriate people. Hopefully we'll have many more of these announcements in the years to come. And it is a welcome and an added plus to Williamson County for them to come to our community. Second of all, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank Judy Hayes for her hard work working with the Animal Task Force. This committee has been in monthly meetings for the last year, addressing issues in our county that are important to all of us, our animals, our dogs, our cats. That is so critical to the operation of a well-rounded, well-balanced community, and they have done outstanding work, and the resolution that they're bringing forth tonight needs your attention and needs it in a positive way so that we continue to offer those services. Mr. Chairman, I will forego any other comments unless there's questions you need to ask me specifically.
Any questions of Mayor Anderson at this time? I see none. Thank you, sir. You've been handed a copy of a resolution. Has it been passed out? Let's go ahead and pass that out. Before Dr. Looney comes up, the chairperson of the Board of Education was in communication with me today. They had distributed a copy of this resolution approved by the Board of Education to all members of the County Commission that have email. Apparently 4 of us don't, so we're passing copies of this resolution out to you tonight before Dr. Looney comes to the podium so that you have a certified copy of what the Williamson County Board of Education adopted. And you're also being passed an amendment that's been put together for your consideration tonight as we enter into the discussion of the Guns in Park resolution. So be referring to that as we go through that discussion this evening. This time I'll recognize Dr. Michael Looney, the Director of Schools for Williamson County. Dr. Looney, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'll make my comments restricted to the proposed resolution tonight. As the Chief Education Officer of Williamson County and at the direction of the Board of Education, I respectfully request tonight that you formally approve the Resolution 61011 to prohibit handguns in county parks, recreation areas, and other similar public places used by the Williamson County school system. As you know, on July 24, 2009, the State Office of the Attorney General formalized an opinion prohibiting handgun permit holders from possessing firearms in public places during times when athletic events or other recreational activities are occurring and are used by schools. As a consequence, the Board of Education unanimously passed a resolution encouraging the County Commission to opt out of 3917-1311 in the same manner that the cities of Franklin, Brentwood, and Fairview have done. Moreover, the Board of Education has directed me to cease all related activities in Williamson County parks where guns are permitted with an effective date of June 15, 2010. Tonight, as you contemplate this important decision, you will certainly take into consideration the many comments that have been made by various individuals. You'll take into consideration the safety of this community's school children. You will also, most assuredly, think about the rights of hundreds of law-abiding citizens to bear arms as afforded by the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. You might also reflect on the significant financial impact that this decision may have on our community. Once again, I respect the gravity of this issue, and I'll try to attempt to describe our position very briefly and succinctly. But before I begin that, I can't help but go back to my Marine Corps experience. As a United States Marine, disabled and retired, there is nothing more important to me professionally or personally than to uphold the rights we have as citizens. It is these rights that compelled me and legions of other men and women to don a military uniform, to live and in some cases die by the rifle creed, and to put combat boots on grounds in foreign lands. Many of you here tonight are proud veterans too, and you recognize the human sacrifices made to allow us the privilege of freely assembling here tonight. We live in a nation where we have so many liberties. We're blessed. However, as a Marine, I also learned the importance of being courageous, for standing up for what is right and just, and for protecting those who cannot protect themselves. In fact, the United States Code of Military Justice, Article 99, states it would be neglectful of me to endanger the safety of anyone in my charge. And in this instance, it's 30,000 students and their teachers. It can be argued that there is no evidence that gun permit holders commit crimes with their weapons. While I take exception to this position, I'm not here to pontificate about statistical probabilities or the likelihood of a crime. I am simply asking you tonight to position ourselves to not be a headline story for such a tragedy as a result of an accident or an intentional act in a Williamson County park. Whether you agree with the board's position, statement or not, the simple truth is this. If this body fails to act tonight, then tomorrow morning, when the sun comes up, the referee whistles will be silenced until other suitable, safe arrangements can be made. However, it's not just the referee's whistles. It's the cheers from the cheerleaders. It's the camera flashes from the parents, the unbridled laughter of student athletes, or wide wonderment common in elementary field trips that will be but a distant memory. So too will be the millions of dollars of related revenue. Take, for example, just one softball tournament in one of our parks. One tournament alone has the potential of generating $500,000 of direct spending in Williamson County. Hotels, eateries, gas stations, entertainment complexes, department stores all lose. Now imagine this occurring time and again until suitable locations can be found for the Williamson County school system to sponsor those kinds of events. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. The board has no desire to pit ourselves against you as a body. In fact, just the opposite is true. We want to partner with this body. We want to find common ground so that our boys and girls can play, so that our athletes have appropriate facilities. Weapons do have a place in our society. I know that. Our board gets that. Law-abiding citizens do have a right to carry weapons. But pistols? On playgrounds? Really? Please opt out.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Lynch.
Dr. Looney, a lady called me the other day, and I'd like to bring that conversation out and then get your comment. She called me 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she said last year some of the students didn't have books, and she said they can't learn without books. Then she said, you know, you need to put some money in this coming year for books, because this coming year, I know you didn't have to do it last year, but she also said there's not any money in their books for this year for the students. Some of them won't have books. I said, well, lady, there's $2.2 million in the book line, but that didn't stop her. And she went on and on about they wouldn't have books. So anyway, of course, I know you get stock confused, and sometime 4 or 5 years ago, they ran out of science books, so teachers and the school board or somebody was telling their parents that didn't have any money for books. So I went to where they could find out, and they had $40,000 in the budget then, so I know the things come up. But anyway, do you have any comments on that they're not going to be any books next year for some of the students?
It is a true statement that science books have been an issue in the past. Our district, prior to my arrival, opted to go to science kits, where students learn science by doing hands-on experiments rather than purchasing books. So the comments that you have received most likely refer to that instant. There is no immediate plan to do away with those science kits and purchase textbooks for science. Having said that, there is money in the proposed budget that this body is considering for textbooks. We do plan on purchasing the textbooks that are up for adoption, and that includes language arts and foreign languages.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other questions of Dr. Looney while he's here reporting? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other committee wishing to report at this time through the various committee listings that are here? Anyone wishing to address the commission? The chair recognizes Commissioner Hayes, please.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, may I mention from 2 different committees. First, I'd like to bring your attention to a brochure that's at each of your desks, which is our new brochure that was unveiled through Tennessee Tourism, called the Nashville Trace, Backstage to Backwoods. It was unveiled last week at Lovelace, and it goes down the trace in part of Williamson County. The Leapers Fork part of Williamson County comes back up through Spring Hill, through Tompkins Station, and into Franklin. So it's a big trace, and we're getting great benefits, and they are available for free of charge. Also, I reported last month that we were going to be having a Christian Music Convention Association in Franklin. 180 planners came into town to search us out in order to bring other conventions here. 14 have already signed up to bring another convention here based on the success of that week's visit to our area. Also, we did receive some pretty full hotels and motels, which was very good news because of the CMA Awards in Nashville this last week. So we have been very blessed lately, and we very much appreciate everybody's hospitality to our visitors. They've been very good to us. Having that been said, Mr. Chairman, may I ask for Mr. Lewis Bumpus to also come up to give us a quick report on the flooding and how his improvements and things are coming along with the landfill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To give you a couple of updates, South Hall will be open, I hope, this coming Friday. The electrical service was totally destroyed. We've got the new risers up. We're waiting for electrical permits, and then for Middle Tennessee Electric. Tomorrow will be the last day that we do the curbside program. We said we'd go through the June 13th, and so we had a couple of extras, so tomorrow will be the last day that we do the curbside.
Any questions? Go ahead.
And Hillsborough is open and running strong.
Any questions of Mr. Bumpus? Thank you, sir. Mayor Anderson indicated he'd like Mike Thompson to give us an update. Mike, if you would come forward, please, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to update you on a few things, and then I was asked by a couple of commissioners to talk a little bit about some of the mitigation programs. Damage assessment, which was in your packet as of that date, right now is 1,431 residential structures, around 100 million, 73 commercial structures, about 4 million. Local government damages and costs are 8 million. The county portion of that was about 4.2 million. Bulk of it, as you can imagine, is roads. All these costs are 75-25 federal, 75 federal, 25 local state. But these numbers are not hard numbers because this is our actual cost, and some things won't be reimbursable, such as regular time in certain cases and that kind of thing. So the actual federal side will be a little bit different. The state has also said that they will pay 12.5%, so the county portion, or the other local governments for that matter, will be 12.5% of whatever the final winds up being. Our Disaster Recovery Center continues in operation. It's been, depending on what day I look at the report, but generally we've been the third busiest in the state behind Shelby and Davidson. 746 people had visited that center as of last Thursday, 2,400 online and telephone registrations again as of last Thursday. And I'll go back to the damage assessment. We've only been able to count for 1,400 homes, but we've had 2,400 people register. So we've got a lot that haven't reported it to us or that we haven't found, and it's difficult in a flood to do that. The center has also approved a little over $6 million in eligible housing assistance in our county. That is, again, the third largest of the 49 counties that are in the declaration as of right now. They've also approved $183,000 in other assistance. The important thing for your constituents is if they have any doubt that they may have a claim, they need to register, and that will close July 6th. If they have questions concerning the individual side, which is the public side, the center is now closing on Sundays, so they're only open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday now, so that's some important things. Our business hadn't stopped. That's essentially all we're doing still is the flood, even 6 weeks in. Last week we had 7 national flood insurance meetings with the national flood insurance people in each of the jurisdictions in the county. And I want to clear up a couple things on that. One is there's been a lot of rumors that you can't buy flood insurance unless you're in a floodplain, or people that were refused flood insurance. Every jurisdiction, including the cities and the county, and Williamson County, are part of the National Flood Insurance Program. That was part of our mitigation planning program that you approved the plan on about 4 years ago. Anybody that's in an NFIP community can buy flood insurance. So if they tell you they can't, they can. In addition, Williamson County, none of the cities are, but Williamson County is part of the community rating system, which means it's kind of like the fire insurance rating, 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. Williamson County is part of that, and so they get a little cut over a normal rating. Friday, the county was also included in federal farm assistance from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And that includes crop and livestock losses and damage to farm infrastructure. So that's a new one as of Friday. Just real briefly on the mitigation programs. Specifically, the most attention has been on buyouts. The main thing is it's going to be a while. We're probably looking at deep into 2012 before one will be completed. As way of explanation, buyouts are not part of the disaster assistance program. They're a part of the mitigation program. Mitigation funds are based on disaster cost, what we're working on now with the governments. So we won't even know until those figures are all in how much we will have for mitigation programs, and which will be January. The first phase of that is primarily people in the floodplain. Those awards we would know in April if we were even going to get one. The second phase we wouldn't know till later in 2011 for all structures and such. So it is a long process. The county is the one that buys it, or the city. The residents would apply to the county or city to do that. Then you go through all the state and federal stuff. There are some things that can be done before that process, but nothing firm. They are also all voluntary. Right now, countywide, we got maximum around half a dozen that would be eligible, we think, right now. So you'll be hearing more about that, I'm sure. With that, I'll try to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions, Commissioner Bronk, when you have a question of?
I do, and then I have another.
Okay. Go right ahead, please.
Reiterate the statement you made about the new information about farm damages,
Okay.
how that's specified.
As soon as I find it. Make sure I get it right. It's the U.S. Department of Agriculture Federal Farm Assistance Act. There were actually 13 counties included, but contiguous counties are also automatically in it. We were actually not one of the 13, but we are contiguous to some of them, so it automatically includes us. That is for farms, obviously. It includes significant crop and livestock losses and damage to farm infrastructure. Of course, they would also, just because somebody's on a farm doesn't mean they're limited to that. They also have SBA assistance available, have individual assistance available too.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Hancock, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have two questions. Mike, the 12.5% match, which would be the county's match, is that hard cash or is that in kind?
It can be in kind. The main way we generally get in kind is through volunteer resources. Volunteer resources are only eligible to be counted, though, in what we call the emergency phase, which is usually the first 72 to 96 hours, and is like the public safety people and the debris people and that kind of thing. So that's the general in-kind that we get. But there are some other types of in-kind, too.
Second question, on the potential buyouts, you identified 6 at this time. Is there anything those folks need to do at this time to get on any kind of list that would generate consideration from?
I think, well, if somebody is, I think our planning people or the engineers are already looking at it, and I know the county attorney's been looking at some stuff. But the main thing is, if they haven't talked to anybody with the county, I would say they need to let us or the mayor's office know that that might be something they were interested in, because there are a lot of specific requirements that we would need to share with them and that kind of thing.
So they do need to step forward with the planning department.
But generally, they're going to have to be 51% damaged or more.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Other questions of my Commissioner Hester, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry I didn't quite understand. You've got some of the home buyouts are part of the mitigation program and not the
disaster
FEMA
assistance.
or
Well, it is a FEMA project.
Yes, sir.
Disaster assistance is what we're in now, and that includes things like the public safety people, like the debris stuff, the roads and bridges, water control facilities, the government buildings, government utilities or private utilities, and parks and rec. That's the disaster assistance phase, which is all local government cost as far as that side. On the citizen side, it's the individual assistance thing, which is what the Disaster Recovery Center deals with. Mitigation programs are ongoing, and we've had some mitigation grants. In fact, the planning grant where I referred to the plan, that was done through a mitigation grant. They cover a whole range of things to keep down the effect of future disasters.
Yes.
So that's the reason the buyouts are part of that, because if you don't have to pay a claim every time it floods, you go ahead and buy it out, then you stop those claims in the future, and that's a less financial impact in the future. So buyouts are in the mitigation side of it, and that is all based on what the total winds up being on the public side.
Yes. Thank you for this information. There's
And,
quite a lot to absorb.
And I might add that from what I'm hearing is the state is going to do 12.5%, because the buyouts would be 75-25 also.
Yes.
That the state's going to do the 12.5 on those too. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Other questions of Mr. Thompson? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mayor? Okay. Anyone else wishing to report under this section of the agenda? I see none. Elections and appointments. The County Commission, Library Board of Trustees. I'm sorry, excuse me.
I was going to request that we possibly hear from Doug Hood during the reports from department heads. Wonder if that would be possible.
Absolutely. Mr. Hood, you've been summoned to Center Court. What would you like to hear from him, Commissioner?
I would like to hear from him on the issue that's before us tonight about guns in parks.
Mr. Chairman, as I've stated on several occasions, my opinion has not changed from last year. I still believe and would hope that you would not allow guns or weapons in our parks for several reasons, and I know this is a very difficult situation. And as I've stated before, I am a gun owner, and it also affects me because of the personal relationship I have a lot with these commissioners. And as one of my good friends told me tonight, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, and I certainly respect that. But here's my concern, some of my concerns. One of them is I'm very concerned for my employees, from the simple fact that we are not law enforcement officers. We are parks and recreation professionals. We deal in leisure and hopefully representing this community and finding ways to relieve your stress and providing great opportunities for leisure services. That's what we do. That's what my 30-year career has been. And to put my employees in a place of peril where it possibly could have, where a hand permit carrier comes into the park and then, as I've heard referred to, a criminal comes in, my staff is not going to be able to identify one carrier from the other. If there's no guns allowed and we see it, we immediately call the sheriff's office. And as much as I'd like to sit here and tell you that there aren't conflicts in our parks, that is not true. We have parents who watch way too much TV and have come to understand that that happens on the playing surfaces where we provide these services. We've had arguments at 6-year-old girls' basketball games. We've had arguments at 10-year-old baseball games, and parents get very heated. And we, as you all well know, have no problem throwing people out for a significant period of time, and that's kind of our reputation. If you disrupt the peace and tranquility of our park system, we will make sure that you are not allowed to participate. I leave the law enforcement up to the law enforcement officers. We have a close relationship with the sheriff and his staff and the things that they've done to provide our safety for my employees. But most importantly also, we have a great relationship with Williamson County Schools. I mean a great relationship. We are in their schools right now with our summer program with thousands of children involved. You know, we're honored that they play on the playing surfaces that you all have approved. And there's been nothing like, as you've seen, where Ravenwood won a football championship or Franklin won a soccer championship, or following boys baseball, or girls lacrosse. All of those things happen on our facilities by two groups that love and care about the children and the programs in this county. Now, I know this is a tough call because I, too, have the same rights. And also the Constitution says about peace and tranquility. You know, well, I would like those same things as well. All I'm asking is that you would take into consideration of our 20-plus year history with me as your director, and I would ask you to not put guns in our parks. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else wishing to report any of these offices or committees? I see none. Moving on to the county commission appointments, Library Board of Trustees, 3-year terms expiring June of 13. Term expiring Ginger Sherling. Nomination Ginger Sherling. Term expiring Bob Barnwell. Term expiring. Appointment nomination Bob Barnwell. Susan, help me, Birchall. Birchall, okay. And the nomination, Shannon Brewer. These are the nominations for the Library Board of Trustees. I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Brockman the motion, Commissioner Green the second. Further discussion, all in favor of these nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show it. Commissioner Barnwell indicated that he was abstaining from voting, and that's your intent, Commissioner. So mark the record, if you would, Madam Clerk, that Commissioner Barnwell abstained. Moving on through the consent agenda, unfinished business, new business. There are notaries on the bottom. There's a list of notaries that you've received in your packet. Any questions, anything on the notaries? I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Cook, the motion. Commissioner Little, Tommy Little, the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show it unanimous. Moving on to appropriations. We don't have any zoning. Appropriations, resolution number 610-1, resolution transferring $8,700 between major categories within the 2009-10 Williamson County Sheriff's Department budget. Commissioner Langston, please.
Move approval.
Commissioner Cook, the second. Report from the committees. The Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee.
4-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee, Commissioner Little.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Langston, please.
There was some laundry equipment that broke down and needs to be replaced.
Questions of Commissioner Langston on 610-1? I see none. If you're in favor of that resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. I guess I better punch the right one. Huh? There we go. Okay. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
24 yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution unanimously adopted, 24 yes and 0 no. Resolution 610-2, resolution transferring $100,000 between major categories within the 2009-10 Sheriff's Department budget. Commissioner Langston, please.
Move approval.
Who was the second? Commissioner Greer, the second. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee report, please.
4 and 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee, Commissioner Little.
5 in favor, 0 against, and I'd like to offer an amendment, please.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to amend the resolution to $200,000 from the $100,000 to $200,000.
Appropriate amendments, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Langston, the second. Any questions on the amendment that's being proposed by the Budget Committee? I see no questions. We'll vote the amendment that's offered by Commissioner Little. All in favor? You got the amendment loaded. It's on the board. If you're in favor of this amendment to amend the total to $200,000 with the additional revenue to come from the general fund, in favor, Commissioner Hayes hadn't voted. Record a vote, please.
24 yes.
24 yes, 0 no on the amendment to increase it to $200,000. Now we're voting on the amended motion as amended. Any questions, discussion on the motion as amended? I see none. If you're in favor of 610-2 as amended, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Does everybody vote or wish to vote? Record a vote, please.
24 yes.
Thank you very much. Unanimous adoption. The resolution amended to $200,000. Resolution number 610-3, resolution transferring $50,000 from the 2009-10 Williamson County Sheriff's Department budget to the Capital Projects Fund. Commissioner Langston, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Walton, the second. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee.
4-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee, Commissioner Little.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Langston.
Had some water lines broke that had to be repaired, and we need this transfer to cover the cost.
Questions of Commissioner Langston. Commissioner Pears recognized, please.
Haven't we seen this water line thing several times in the last 4 years that at least I've been here? And can we get some explanation of, are we getting close to getting it fixed? Maybe Sheriff?
Sheriff, if you want to come up, of course, the Sheriff's Department is right through the fence from the Williamson County rock quarry, and every time they blast, you know, you wonder what's happening. What?
Pretty good explanation, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Parra, that has come up quite often. It's from the explosions of the different rock quarries. We're in progress of trying to replace the outdated pipe, the old pipe when the jail was originally constructed, and hoping to get that replaced totally around the front of the jail and prevent these problems.
So with the new pipe, you don't expect the problems in the future?
No, not like we have the old.
Thank
you. Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. In favor of Resolution 610-3, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted, wish to vote, record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
24 yes.
24 yes, we unanimously adopt. 610-6, resolution appropriating and amending the 2009-10 library budget by $13,993.89. Revenues to come from miscellaneous donations. Commissioner Barnwell, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Library Board report.
6-4-0 against, I believe.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is our normal housekeeping of donations we receive so that we can actually spend the money.
Questions of Commissioner Barnwell on 610-6? I see none. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
24 yes.
We unanimously adopt 24 yes, 0 no. 610-12, resolution transferring funds in the amount of $200 between major categories within the 2009-10 rural debt service budget. Commissioner Cook, please.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Green, second. Budget Committee report, Commissioner Little.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Cook, please.
The county issued Build America bonds in the fall of 2009, and the interest is due, but it's higher than what we had budgeted, so we need to make up the difference, and that's the $200.
Questions of Commissioner Cook? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 610-12, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
24 yes.
Thank you very much. We unanimously adopt 24 yes, 0 no. Resolution 610-14, resolution directing revenue designated for road purposes that is collected from the Williamson County business tax that exceed $3,400,000 and funds collected from the Williamson County wheel tax that exceed $3,500,000 for the fiscal year 2009-10 be redesignated to the general fund. Commissioner Wilson, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Tommy Little, the second. Highway Commission voted 4-0 against. Tax Committee.
5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, this is for road purposes, obviously, and the business tax, when it exceeds, that is to be appropriated as extra monies, and then from our wheel tax, which would be from that department. These are monies that have been collected and need to be in the designated approved areas.
Any questions of Commissioner Wilson on 610-14? Madam Clerk, if you would, down on the second line of now therefore be it resolved, meeting in regular session on this, they changed that to the 14th day of June, not the 8th. Today's the 14th.
Okay.
So if you just make that typographical error correction, we won't need to amend the resolution. So just see what I'm talking about, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Change that 8 to 14, if you would, please, sir. Any other questions? If you're in favor of this resolution 610-14, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted, wish to vote, record a vote, please.
24 yes.
24 yes and 0 no. Resolution unanimously adopted. Resolution number 610-22. Resolution authorizing the county mayor to enter into a 2010-11 contractual agreement with the state of Tennessee for $1,005,900 for local health services. Commissioner Mills, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Barnwell, the second. Public Health Committee report, please.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Mills.
This is these are funds that come from a grant and is available for local health departments through the state of Tennessee, and it can be utilized for operational costs for rural health services.
Any questions of Commissioner Mills on this resolution? I see none. If you're in favor of 61022, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Has everybody voted that wish to vote? Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
24 yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution we unanimously adopt. Resolution 61024, resolution appropriating and amending the 2009-10 county attorney's budget by $10,000. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Little, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Budget Committee report.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The county attorney line of our budget needs a little extra money. This is a rather large project that's gone into foreclosure. The county has pulled the bond on it, and because of the complexity of it, they want a little outside expertise.
Any questions? Let's see here. Commissioner Brockman, please.
Thank you. What is the approximate amount of the bonds that we hold?
$5.9 million.
Follow-up, Commissioner Brockman.
And covering just the sort of general laundry list of roads, et cetera. I mean, it would cover the standard bonds that we require.
Mr. Horn, do you want to address that? Mr. Joe Horn.
Commissioner, the improvements in question are roads, drainage, and erosion control, the sewer plant, both the collection system and the treatment system, landscaping, and a bond for the golf course itself.
Okay.
That bond, however, the county is essentially a placeholder for the homeowners association if and when that gets formatted.
So just explain that one more time, that final golf course.
The final part is the county is simply holding the money until the homeowner association comes in force and makes up its mind whether it's going to build the golf course or not. Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Brockman, follow up?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering if we could recoup any of these legal costs through the bond procedure as well.
That is, we're going to try to.
Thank you. Just want to make sure we try.
Commissioner Lynch is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, they sold this property at auction about 2 months ago, and they owed $102 million.
That's a nice little debt.
I don't know whether it helps or not, but them people are in trouble.
Any other questions on Resolution 61024? I see none. In favor of 61024, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Bain, please. Yeah, let's record a vote. Ms. Anderson, record a vote.
24 yes.
24 yes and 0 no. Is that recorded in any way? Still not recording?
It's recording up here, but it's not clearly down.
Okay, we're gonna, let me do this before we leave this resolution. All in favor of Resolution 61024, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Show it unanimous voice vote. I'm going to declare a 10-minute recess. We're going to have to reboot our voting system because, of course, all of our votes have been unanimous thus far, but it's not printing out your actual vote. So we're going to need to reboot our voting system. I'm going to declare a 10-minute recess. We'll be back in 10 minutes and reconvene.
Bang 'em in, bang 'em in. We still have late file 27 to do right now before we
Okay.
go into the
Right.
gun and Jackson Life. Sorry about that. Glad we called it.
Call the meeting back to order. We do think we have the machine properly recording the votes and listing the names, but in the event that the previous action that we've all taken with all the votes, without objection, the chair is going to rule that all of the prior votes that we have taken, because our rules do require that we have recorded votes by name of each commissioner, and that's what we're missing on this report. So unless there's some objection, I'm going to rule that all previous votes taken tonight will stand as if it were a roll call vote, because if it's unanimous, it'll show that each of us voted for this. And then in the, did we have any votes that were not unanimous? No. Okay.
The only thing we had was Barnwell's abstain. on his
Make
vote.
sure that Commissioner Barnwell abstains.
But that was not a recorded vote.
There was an election, and that was a voice vote anyway. So any objection to that? I see none, so the chair will rule that all of those votes that are recorded will be entered in the minutes as if they were written by roll call vote. Now, going forward, we think we've got it fixed. We're going to check it after we have the next vote. We've got one resolution to take up, and then we're going to get into other and have our friends from Jackson Life report to us. Our last funding resolution under appropriations is Resolution 61027. You have a copy of that. 61027 is resolution appropriating and amending the 2009-10 Board of Equalization budget by $6,500, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. I signed this resolution today in order to get it filed. It has not been to any of the committees. Commissioner Little, would you like to address this one as chairman of the Budget Committee, please, sir?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Cook, the second. Descriptions that are here. Any explanation, Commissioner Little, please?
Everybody's seen as much as I have. So these
Okay.
are questions, I guess we can ask them, so.
Diane, if you would give us an update on what this really stands for and means.
Well, this resolution is a result of the accounting office trying to go through the books and make sure that everyone is within their appropriate line item expenses. And this is one that that showed today that we were running over the committee per diem fees, and we need to put additional funds in there to cover the overages and the continued Board of Equalization meetings for the rest of the month.
Further questions or comments on 61027? I see none. If you're in favor of 61027, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record the vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
Be 24 yes.
24 yes, 0 no. Could we check and see when you print that off, do we have the appropriate?
We're printing it.
Okay. Bless you. Look okay? Good. Okay, we're now moving to the other portion of the agenda, and this time, this is resolution that we have moved forward for the first consideration, resolution number 61023, resolution to approve a payment in lieu of taxes program for a facility be occupied by Jackson National Life Insurance Company as requested by the Industrial Development Board of Williamson County and their multiple commissioners that are sponsors. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Brockman. Commissioner Hayes, the second. 61023. This went to the committees, and let's get the report from each of the committees. Industrial Board approved this 4-4, 0 against. Commissioner Little, the budget, please.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Tax Study.
5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Property Committee.
5-4-1 against.
5-4-1 against. Explanation, Commissioner Brockman, I'll pass this to you. Anybody else, Commissioner Hayes, that wants to introduce the resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's important to hear from our guests here tonight. This is an opportunity for Williamson County, and we are the envy of many around us, other communities. We have the quality of life that's the envy of so many areas, and this is just one example of providing jobs in a wonderful industry that we are proud to have chosen us.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown, if you would come on forward and introduce your team that's here, and I'll give you the floor. Mr. John Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, my name is John Brown. I am Vice President, Government Relations for Jackson National Life Insurance Company. We're headquartered in Lansing, Michigan. I have with me our General Counsel, Mr. Tom Meyer, and Mr. Tom Trent, who is our legal counsel here in the Greater Tennessee area. And with that, Tom, if you'd like to come up in case there are questions. I'll very briefly describe the project that is the focus of this resolution. Jackson intends to create a facility, an operation here in the Greater Nashville area, specifically at the One Greenway building in the Cool Springs area at 300 Innovation Drive. The initial phase of the project involves the leasing of approximately 90,000 square feet, creating a capacity for 400 new employees here. In subsequent years, we'll add 30,000 and then another 30,000 square feet. The total project size would be 150,000 square feet with a total employee capacity, or we call them associates, between 725 and 750. The total investment for Jackson is about $46 million over a 10-year period. The kinds of jobs that we're talking about really cover the gamut. They would include operations, distribution, technology, human resources, management, including high comp executive positions. And just to illustrate that a little bit, we do hope to qualify as a regional headquarters facility under the law of Tennessee, which obviously involves the inclusion of a number of what are called high comp positions, which would be professional, management, and executive. Commissioner Brockman, you stole a little bit of my thunder. I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I will very briefly, about the process that we went through in choosing Williamson County. Jackson is not the kind of company, in fact, we would argue we are the most efficient life insurance company in the United States, and we think we can show that by the numbers. And we don't take lightly making any kind of investment, much less a brand new facility in a new location. We reviewed very seriously 44 cities. We visited a number of them. We were looking for a place that offered affordable living for families, yet at the same time had amenities that would be attractive to the best and the brightest around the country. We were hopeful for a very strong K-12 system and a world-class university system, and yet at the same time a very favorable business climate. And I can tell you that in that regard, Williamson County in our study is a very unique and special place, and it's the reason that Jackson National has decided to bring its expansion here to the Cool Springs area. So with that, Mr. Chairman, if there are any questions regarding the project, I'm here to answer any questions that I can. Also, Mr. Trent to talk about any technical aspects to the program, but otherwise we would urge your favorable consideration of the motion, and we thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions of these two gentlemen. Commissioner Ford, please.
Mr. Brown, thank you for being here. Are these 750 jobs you're talking about, are they going to be moving from someplace? Is this a relocation, or is this a brand-new facility coming out and new hiring for you?
It's a brand-new facility. Most of the positions will be new positions filled locally. There will be some relocations, but most will be new. And the reason for it is Jackson, our principal business is annuities. We are the fastest growing annuity writer in the United States over the past 10 years. We've gone from 17th in the United States to number 4. Last year was a record year, and the first quarter of 2010 was a record quarter. So we've got a lot of work that has to be done, and that's the reason for the expansion. It's new jobs.
Thank you.
Other questions? Any other questions? Ready to vote? A correction on the Industrial Development Board. It was just pointed out to the chair that the Industrial Development Board has not yet met, and that meets Monday. So my report to you, based on what was here, 4-0 and 2 pass, that's inaccurate. Please strike that from the record, because the Industrial Development Board will meet on Monday to take this under consideration. So with that given, we're ready to vote. If you're in favor of this resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Smith, green.
Mr. Green?
Everybody voted. Record the vote, please.
23 yes and 1 no.
23 yes, 1 no. Resolution is adopted. 23 yes and 1 no. So thank you very much for being here, and
thank you.
Good luck. Okay, moving on to the next resolution that we have moved up for consideration is resolution number 6-10-11, resolution to prohibit handguns in county parks, recreation areas, and other similar public places owned or operated by Williamson County and used in any manner by Williamson County Schools or Franklin Special School District. Commissioner Brockman and Cook.
Move approval. Second.
Commissioner Brockman and Cook. The motion, the Property Committee report, 2 for, 4 against. Law Enforcement Committee.
5 in favor, 2 against.
Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation didn't get a motion.
Okay. So Parks and Recreation, no action. So that's a report from the committees. So Resolution 610 is on the floor, and I'll recognize the 2 makers of the resolution, Ms. Brockman and then Commissioner Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, perhaps a little history. How did we get here? It may seem a little bit like deja vu, because we really were here on the same issue last year. The reason we are required to take up this resolution is because the Tennessee General Assembly basically changed the law. In the state, we had always had parks, playgrounds, civic centers, and other public buildings exempt. I mean, you could not carry a firearm. If you would ask a couple of people about the wrangling of this at the state level, you would find that perhaps they knew from the very beginning they were taking up an issue that was on thin soil. And I say that because if you check with our representative, Charles Sargent, all along when they were discussing this, he saw sort of disaster ahead for communities like Williamson County, communities all across the state who had parks where children play where school activities take place on a regular basis. And he thought that the language would say that you, as a local, that a local community would have to opt in if they wanted to allow handguns in parks. What they came out with in the 9th hour shocked Representative Sargent, because it had the language that you had to opt out. And so the opting out is something that we are required to do. The reason we are required to do it is because we have a history in this county of having safe parks used by children, for athletics, by all our schools. There is this interrelationship between our schools and parks. I don't know about the other communities across the state, but in our case, we just have this wonderful relationship, and school groups are constantly using our athletic fields, having events, and it serves our county well. It gives us a quality of life, but we're the envy of many communities because of our parks. They are top-notch. They are run by professionals that we are happy go to work each day and make these facilities available. Over 70 to 80 cities and counties, after this legislation came into being, opted out. And the reason they opted out is because it just didn't make sense to the majority of the citizens who expressed their opinion to allow handguns in public parks. The city of Brentwood, the city of Franklin, the city of Fairview opted out. It was important for them, and they are leaders in our community. They debated it. It was overwhelmingly supported. It's important, I think, to look to our respected leaders in this community. I'm thinking of our Director of Parks and all the park personnel. You heard from Doug Hood, very strong statement. It makes a lot of sense to me. Our sheriff, I'm going to ask him to come up. Sheriff Long needs to speak to this issue. It's important to hear from our law enforcement leadership. Our County Mayor Anderson, I believe, supports this resolution tonight. The school board was very specific about their resolution that was given out to everyone. And that is the conflict with the law that they operate under as a school system. You know, the schools, and that law really takes precedence. And so I was able to go to their meeting last week and hear the legal counsel explain why it just was not possible for them to continue to use our athletic fields if the commission, you know, didn't opt out tonight. So it was very informative, and it made me realize that they operate under a completely different Tennessee state law. The letters and calls, emails, I'd say they're 20 to some. I think someone in law enforcement said they were 20 to 1 in favor of this resolution to opt out. If I went to Grassland Park, it might be 100 to 1. A lot of people really don't even know we're debating this. And so I said before, perhaps I was speaking for the silent majority, but I think the silent majority became more vocal this past week, and I know a number of you have gotten emails on this. And parents of students feel like we're putting the athletic fields in jeopardy, and I believe we are. Just a passage, just briefly, from one lady. I would hope that the county commission sees that allowing guns in our parks would be detrimental to all families in Williamson County. There is no one at any level, from young to old, that allowing guns in public parks wouldn't affect. We are very fortunate to live in a county that have law-abiding citizens that take care of our surroundings. We live in a safe environment. We have minimal crime. We have very little gang activity, and we're able to enjoy the freedom that has been afforded to us to enjoy the beautiful county we live in that includes the public parks throughout this great county. Please do not allow guns to be in Williamson County parks. The safety of our children and citizens is too important to take even a small, unnecessary risk. So I say, let's use common sense. I mean, I'm a practical kind of girl. I mean, when you start talking about the Second Amendment, it's important, but yet I look at our situation on the ground, and I know that we want to do what's best for our citizens, and they, I feel like, have spoken, and I think this is the direction to go in. There are just some places where limits are required. You cannot take a handgun, can't take it to an airport. There are just some places, public places, where handguns just don't make sense. One more thing. If we look at this, if someone wants to look at this again, think about another a cutoff time in terms of more discussion, more deliberation, I think it's clear. The school board, even if they had 12 months, would come to the same conclusion. They just can't operate and use our parks, and we want to continue that relationship. It's just so important. And so I'm just weighing their rights perhaps maybe above the group who have been very outspoken. I've certainly received calls and emails from them, and we've heard from individuals tonight. But I'm having to put our students and our parents and our families first, and I think we need to opt out. I think we need to pass this resolution tonight. And if we could possibly hear from Sheriff Long, I would love for him to come to the podium just to speak very briefly to this before we hear from Arlene.
Sheriff Long, please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, I will tell you that I will see that the law is enforced either way you make your decision. We will enforce the law here in Williamson County, and whatever decision you make, that is the law we will enforce. I want you to know up front that I am a handgun carry permit holder. I do have a handgun carry permit in addition to my authorization under the law as sheriff. I think that most handgun carry permit owners and holders are excellent people. Our office, in fact, teaches a handgun permit and a familiarization class. I've tried to do some research to help you make your decision as to how you wanted to react to this and look through the last time that this issue was before you. There are two instances that I'm aware of in our parks here in Williamson County. One was an instance in the west part of the county where a person held a rifle on someone else, and then a second area in the park where there was a knife involved, not a weapon, not a handgun or a rifle. I have concerns about some of the things, even though I am a handgun carry permit, and I got mine for a couple of reasons. I was an assistant district attorney at the time, and I wanted to see the process, and I wanted to see what it took to actually get that permit. Now, telling you what I've told you, I have some concerns about that I will be honest with you about. I am concerned that it's only a one-day class. I think that law enforcement officers, when we have the potential of taking a human life, we have much more training than a one-day class, I assure you, in order to take that awesome responsibility that we take. That gives me great concern because the handgun carry permit class is only for one day. Also, I must tell you, I have a concern about the handgun carry permit class, and it's like anything else in life. It is as good as the instructor is. There are excellent instructors that teach the class, and there are some that are not as good. I will tell you in my experience, so you'll know both sides of the story. When I was an assistant district attorney, I had a grand jury that indicted a handgun carry permit instructor. He was a former chief deputy sheriff of a county who had lost his certification to do the instruction. However, went ahead and taught the class, charged the money from the people, kept their money, and then they could not get their permit. Also, he had a range that he had certified, which has to be inspected by the Department of Safety, and stated that he had taught this class on that range. When we did the investigation, we found out he did not teach it on that range. In fact, it was somewhere else that had not been approved. I also have done some research lately to try to see if I could find any other instances that caused concern, and I found one in Bartlett, Tennessee. This was from June the 9th, which is this last week. There was a 29-year-old man charged with aggravated assault for pointing a gun in the face of his 10-year-old son's baseball coach over playing time for the 10-year-old. The father was upset because his son didn't get enough playing time, and he waited in the car for the coach to come out, and according to the report, the man took his handgun out from under the seat, loaded a round in it, and pointed it at the coach. Apparently the coach was able to wrestle the gun away from him. It fell to the ground. There were some other people that came and assisted, got the handgun away. Later on, the man was allowed to leave. Someone grabbed the handgun, threw it back in the car, but there was a holster that came out of, that was on the ground, and they're using that as evidence in that case. The state records indicate that that person was a handgun carry permit holder. Out of the discussions you've heard tonight, one thing that struck me pretty awesome, and I thought the gentleman, and I forget his name, who did an excellent presentation to you, is that we all support the Second Amendment. There's no doubt about that. We all are in support of that, and we're in support of gun rights and everything else, and protecting our families and protecting our loved ones. But I thought he made a good point that this may not even be about that debate, unfortunately, the way we've gotten into this through the state legislature. This has become an economic issue now because the parks, the schools, I don't know what they're going to do. As I heard Dr. Looney, tomorrow morning there's no more recreational areas at any of the parks. So that's something you will have to face to decide which outweighs the other in this. My officers are concerned naturally anytime that there are guns in anybody's automobile, no matter who it is. Most handgun carry permit owners are instructed during that class, once they're stopped, to notify that officer immediately that there's a gun in that car. Some do, some don't. I can tell you from experience. I have stopped both. So, as I said, some classes are good, some classes are bad. But when you start mixing them with children, it could be deadly. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff, Commissioner Williams?
Yes, sir.
How many handgun permit holders are there in Williams County?
Commissioner, I don't know the number, but there are a lot. I sign off on most of them that come through, and there are a lot. I get a stack probably about that thick every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. There's a lot of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Hester?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff Long, I understand that police officers have to go through a psychological evaluation before they are considered for their potential office and also carrying handguns.
Yes, ma'am, they do. They have to be psychologically examined before they even meet post requirements, police officer standards, in order to be certified as a police officer before they can go to the academy. We do that immediately. Upon hiring someone, we automatically send them both in the detention center and on the road or any position we have. We give that officer a psychological. Yes.
Sure, so, and that is not a part of the certification process for citizens such as myself who wish to have a handgun carry permit.
It was not when I got my handgun carry permit.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions of the Sheriff? Commissioner Cook, I'm going to come to you if you wish to speak, as you're a maker and sponsor of the resolution.
Okay, first I'd like to thank everyone that came tonight. It's really good for us to hear the different opinions of the people, especially when they're under control. You know, it's easy for somebody to send you an email or maybe a letter in the mail saying all kinds of nasty things and calling you names. So it's good to know that there's really more people like those of you that are here tonight than us. I received 107 phone calls, emails, and one letter in the mail. There were 9 people that wanted the guns to stay in the parks, and all the rest wanted them gone. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and you've heard Doug talk about the parks and the wonderful parks we have, and we were being fiscally conservative and responsible with the taxpayers' money by having one entity build parks and playgrounds and swimming pools instead of having duplicates and costing so much more and having to buy so much more land. And the schools were really great and help, and they have first dib on using the fields and the buildings, and then the recreation society that everybody else's children play sports with can do that. But I also want to mention one of the functions of the school board and the school system. I mean, their main goal is to educate our students. And the second goal, which I think is as important, if not more, is to have safety, safe places, make everything right for our children so they're not hurt, injured, or whatever. And that's what we're looking for tonight. And I think 2 people, when they spoke this evening, had mentioned that this really wasn't a Second Amendment issue, because I think all of us believe in everybody having the liberties to do basically what you would like, as long as you're not hurting someone else. So I think this is a good resolution. We did it last year, and we fought back and forth and stuff, and some people say we should do that again. But all we're going to do is say the same thing next year if we were to delay it, than to vote tonight. And I would be really hopeful that we would be like the school board and vote unanimously to take the guns, keep the guns out of the park. But I know some people feel that strongly, but it would be wonderful if we had a unanimous vote tonight. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Parra.
I've thought and prayed a lot about this subject, especially over the weekend. I've got a lot of emails too. I mean, mine have run 50-50. The speakers tonight were about 50-50. I've tried to think about both sides, about parents who are afraid for their children in the park. I have 2 kids that are young kids. I've thought about gun owners and their rights. I mean, there's people that have permits that have kids too, and if they're driving around with their kids and they have their handgun on them and they want to go to the parks, they can't go to the park. They have to drive all the way home. A lot of people aren't going to do that. A lot of people want to go there and exercise, and they're not going to drive all the way home. So I've tried to think about both groups, and also the school system. I understand that they want to use the parks, and we want them to use the parks. And Commissioner Brockman mentioned that they live under their own statute. And I've looked at that statute, and I've thought about that statute. And one thing I found about the statute is that it doesn't completely ban guns from school property. In fact, what it says in subsection C is, it is not an offense under this subsection C for a non-student adult to possess a firearm if the firearm is contained within a vehicle operated by the adult and not handled by the adult, or by any other person acting with the express or implied consent of the adult while the vehicle is on school property. And I think the reason the state put that in there is they realized, especially maybe when that was passed, that people had guns and they'd pick their kids up from schools and they'd go to school events, and they didn't want the guns among the children, but that didn't mean that the person had to try to go back to their house and take it out of their car. So, you know, the school system wants to live under that law, and all I think is, yes, they can live under that law, and we can also find a reasonable accommodation for people. So I'm going to make the following amendment, and I'm going to pass it out to everybody. So my amendment to Resolution 61011, insert the following language between the 6 whereas and the now therefore. And the amendment goes, whereas in order to eliminate confusion among the citizens, confusion of the citizens, and to ensure that this resolution protects gun owners' Second Amendment rights, it is the intention of this resolution to be similar to the current statute regarding guns on school property as written in Tennessee Code annotated 39-17-1309, subsection C. And whereas Tennessee Code annotated 39-17-1309C states, quote, "It is not an offense under this subsection C for a non-student adult to possess a firearm if the firearm is contained within a private vehicle operated by the adult and is not handled by the adult, or by any other person acting with the expressed or implied consent of the adult, while the vehicle is on school property." And whereas in order to make this resolution similar to Tennessee Code annotated 39-17-1309C, then therefore under this resolution it will not be an offense for a non-student adult to possess a firearm if the firearm is contained within a private vehicle operated by the adult and is not handled by the adult or by any other person acting with the expressed or implied consent of the adult while the vehicle is on county park property. And I appreciate your consideration of this.
Commissioner Greer seconds the amendment to Resolution 610 is offered by Commissioner Parra. Motion is on the floor. Commissioner Mills, you're next to speak. Do you wish to address this amendment? Okay. Let's address the amendment. Commissioner Mills, I'll come back to you. Commissioner Smith, on the amendment?
No, sir, not on this amendment.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Cook, on this amendment?
Yes. What I wanted to say is that I talked, when we were first studying this and looking at everything, and that would include the verbiage that you read before you made your actual suggestion on this amendment, is I spoke to 6 different lawyers, and I had 6 different opinions. Is this not a little bit ambiguous too? Like, where in the car would you keep it? Do you have to keep it in your trunk so no one touches it? Do you keep it under your seat like the man who almost shot the other gentleman and his son? Or, I don't know. I want everything to be so that we understand and our sheriff's department understands.
Commissioner Cook, let me ask our counselor, Mr. Mosley, just inform me that this amendment could potentially have some legal issues associated with it. So at this time, the chair would like to recognize Jeff Mosley to address any issues that he sees as relates to 6, 10, 11, this amendment that's been proposed. Counselor?
Thank you. I don't think that I necessarily have a problem with the ambiguity of the amendment. The problem I have is that the school statute that allows for possession of the gun in the vehicle in the parking lot is a specific statutory exception to the prohibition. You have no specific statutory exception to the prohibition if you opt out of the statute as drafted. And there is at least one Attorney General's opinion who has opined that if you opt out for the purpose of a park, you opt out for the entirety of that park. I would think that the common usage of the entirety of the park would include the parking lot on which the car would be situated. Therefore, I think you may be afoul of the statute as drafted at the state level. We do not have the ability to change the authority granted from the state to the county, and at least as I read the opinion in the statute, that authority is either an entire opt-out or not opting out, but not a partial opt-out.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I thought when we had spoken in the last meeting a year ago that we could opt out of parts of parks.
We could opt out of particular parks. We can't opt out of parks, of this half of the park, but not that half of the park. If we decided that we wanted to opt out of one park but not another, that it is a park-by-park basis, but it is not location by location within a particular park, as I read the Attorney General's opinion.
Even though the Attorney General's opinion on the other opinion said parts of the park could be off limits because of the school law, while other parks...
That is
are not.
application of the school prohibition, not the application of this statute, which the opinion of the AG has been the opt-out would be for the entirety of it. We're talking about the application of two different statutes.
But if we're using the same language as the school, aren't we using the school's language then in applying this?
I don't argue with your common sense, but the statutory construction is that we as a county only have the power that is delegated to us by the state. If they do not delegate to us the power to specify or opt out portions of the park, we are not given that power by statutory construction.
So if we were to pass this amendment as is, then what would happen?
You would be, the question would be whether you had the authority for this amendment to be attached.
So that someone, a judge would have to rule on such a
A
matter?
judge would have to rule on it and whether or not the opt-out with the amendment attached would be a valid opt-out under the state statute.
So until that time, it would be, the law would, the resolution and law would be enforced as it is until...
I can only give you my opinion as to what a judge might say about it. I would think that if there were a challenge with the amendment, the challenge would be to the entirety of the opt-out because you did not have the authority to attach such an amendment to it. It could be that a court could reform it to say the amendment was without, that we were without the power to amend and keep the ban in the entirety. It is likely, or is equally as likely, the court could say because of the improper amendment that the entirety of the opt-out was not proper.
Commissioner Greer, do you wish to address the amendment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I think it's a reasonable compromise to allow a gun in your vehicle, because when you tell a person that they can't have a gun on a property, that also implies they can't have the gun in their vehicle when they're coming to or leaving that property. So not only are you telling them they can't have it on the property, you're also telling them that they can't defend themselves on the way to and from. So I don't think that's a reasonable thing to do. Like most of the commissioners, I've struggled with whether or not to, how to vote on this. And I think this amendment is a reasonable compromise. And I, as far as the legality, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brockman on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, based on our county attorney's information, I think it would be unwise to include an amendment that could jeopardize the entire opting out, which is our purpose here tonight, to really examine that and move forward with clarity and with decisiveness. And I think this is just going to make things difficult. It sounds like it could jeopardize the whole resolution, and then we would be back right in this place once again. So I would urge you not to support it.
If I could clarify one more thing.
Counselor?
If I could clarify one thing, I was just handed the actual language of the statute as to this particular question, and it says, if the legislative body elects to prohibit the possession of handguns within a park, the prohibition shall apply to the entire park.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynch on the amendment.
Question.
Second.
Question's been called for. Who's second to call the question? Commissioner Walton. Call the question has been raised. We're going to vote. Call the question. All in. Let's do this by voice vote. All in favor of the call of the question, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the question has been called. So this amendment that's been offered by Commissioner Parra to allow the firearm within private vehicle on park property. You've heard the discussion. You've heard the report from council. It's loaded on the machine. So this amendment that you will be voting, if you vote yes, you will amend Resolution 61011 to allow firearm within a private vehicle on park property. That's the wording that's been proposed. So if you're in favor of this amendment, press the yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted, wishes to vote. Wilson, Tommy Little, Commissioner Ford. Okay, record the vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
Okay. 5 yes, 19 no.
5 yes, 19 no, so the amendment that's offered by Commissioner Para is defeated. I'm going to come back to where we were on discussions, and I'm going to recognize Commissioner Mary Mills, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've heard so much about the Second Amendment that I decided I would look it up. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I would not argue the Second Amendment no more than I would argue the 13th Amendment or the 19th Amendment or voters' right 65, year 65, because we have some very competent lawyers who would do this for me. And so that's what I would do. But when I looked at it, and sometimes my sense of humor is not very good or something, but it's sort of weird, let's put it like that. When I went back and looked, and it said that the Second Amendment allowed guns and everything, that was for the militia. And I thought to myself, I said, okay, are we fighting a Revolutionary War? Are we looking for Indians or what? And as I say, my sense of humor sort of warped sometimes. But that's what I thought. And I was thinking that no one wants to keep you from having your civil rights. I would be the least person to want people to not have their civil rights. But the idea of guns in a park, to me, is just absolutely ludicrous, if I can say that. And Commissioner Brockman reminded me of my one statement, and I'll make the statement and then I finish with it. Guns and children do not mix.
No.
And something happened to a 3-year-old, and I was looking at that, where she was shot. A 10-year-old gun in the house, and I'm sure his father didn't mean for him to get that gun, but he was accidentally playing with it. Children should not be around guns that are playing. And also, I hate to say this, but some of we as parents are not, when we get angry about our children, we just do what we want to. And we've seen times when fathers and even mothers have gotten angry at umpires, and they pull out their guns and they've shot them. So I don't think we want to do that. I think we want to keep our parks safe for the children and, again, for old folk. Because I tell you, if somebody started after me with a gun, I'd just fall down right now and let them know I'm dead, because I could not run from it. And we have some people who can't get around as well as I can. So I hope that we will vote to opt out of this.
Thank you, ma'am. Chair recognizes Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My initial instinct was to vote to allow the ban to lapse and recognize that there are law-abiding citizens permitted to carry a weapon in self-defense. First, as far as the ban itself, since we have no means of restricting access to our parks, the idea of posting a sign in hopes of deterring those who carry a gun for whatever reason, legal or illegal, is absurd. There are probably guns in our park now. Just putting a sign up is not going to make much difference. Second, the only people likely to abide by such a rule banning those guns are those who are law-abiding citizens and trained and licensed to carry a weapon for self-defense. These are the people from whom we have the least to fear. And yet, if they choose to carry a weapon in their car or on their person in defiance of a ban and take action to protect themselves or others, they might be charged as a criminal after the fact for protecting the peace. However, understanding that to allow the ban to lapse at the present time, with the schools having made no other arrangements to operate their sporting events without the use of county parks, I'm willing to compromise. And you have the appropriate language in front of you entitled Amendments to Resolution 61011. Instead of this permanent ban, I have two motions to make, to paraphrase those. One is to amend the resolution to opt out of the state law allowing firearms in parks until May 31, 2011. The second motion to amend would be that the chairman of the school board and the chairman of the county commission nominate up to 5 members each to be approved by the steering committee to an ad hoc committee which, working with the school administration, the mayor's office, and appropriate legal counsel, will determine options and strategies that hopefully could solve this dilemma locally, which the legislature has burdened counties with all across the state. And by doing so, in the ensuing 12 months, hopefully we can find the common ground Dr. Looney spoke of. I would offer the First Amendment to opt out of the state law allowing firearms in parks to expire May 31, 2011.
Motion's made by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Greer. You've heard the amendment. On the amendment, Commissioner Barnwell, please.
Yes, I tend to agree with Commissioner Brockman. We need to resolve this evening and not go on and on and on and on. Let's make a decision, live by it, go.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cook, please, on the amendment.
I was going to say basically the same thing that Commissioner Barnwell said. We'd be doing this year after year after year if we don't make a decision.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell Little, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did this last year, and I'm going to say darn near the same thing I said last year. Folks, we're dealing with the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. What's the difference between this amendment and the First Amendment to the Constitution, the right to free speech? It's because some people have an idea of what a firearm is, what a firearm isn't, and it has been just incredible statements by both sides tonight. Great arguments, very well laid out, and the very people that we want to prevent firearms, having the possession of firearms, are the number one characters in our community. Yes, there are going to be exceptions on both sides. However, a baseball bat in the wrong hands is just as dangerous as a gun in the wrong hands. So there is no perfect what-if solution here. We're dealing with the Second Amendment. I've read all the material that has been sent down here, and it is extremely frustrating that the state has put us in this position. However, it's what we get paid the big bucks for here, folks, to solve these things. The idea about getting our heads together around this to solve this is very doable. There are some things that can be done on both sides of this to satisfy the rightful handgun carriers and the children and our park system, the school system here. There are ways to do this. There have been all kinds of options talked around this. The big issue that we have is that we've come down to the 11th hour, and literally this county commission, we dropped the ball. This thing should have been solved. We thought that the state legislature would solve this if we threw it back in that direction. They didn't do it. However, we can, partnering with the school system, we can solve this issue to where it will satisfy everybody, rather than taking a no-holds-barred that it's got to be exactly one way or the other. In the spirit of compromise, we can solve this issue. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Bain, please.
Call the question.
Commissioner Hancock, second to call the question. Let's ask for a voice vote. If you're in favor of calling the question on this amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Question has been called. So Resolution 1611, amendment to opt out to expire on May 31st, 2010, as presented by Commissioner Smith. If you're in favor. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure I understand what we're voting on. We're only voting on number 1 on this sheet at this point, or are we voting on number 1 and number 2?
Well, as I understand Commissioner Smith's motion is to amend the resolution to opt out, allowing it May 31st, 2011, And then the second part of that amendment is to appoint a committee. Commissioner Smith?
Mr. Chairman, on advice of council, it needed to be presented as two separate.
Okay, so we're voting. We're voting number one, amend the resolution to opt out of the state law allowing firearms in parks to expire May 31st, 2011. That's the amendment that's properly made by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Greer. We're voting on that amendment. In favor of that amendment, press your yes button. If you're against that amendment, press your no button. Has everybody voted, wish to vote? Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
9 yes, 1 abstain, 14 no.
Okay? 14 no, so the resolution, the amendment as presented is defeated. So we're back to Resolution 6, 10, 11 as presented. There have been no amendments that have been successful, so we're back to prohibiting handguns in parks, recreation areas as presented. We'll recognize at this time Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, fellow members. I spoke with David Connor, who is our Executive Director of the Tennessee County Commissioners Association this past week, and just to get a feel for what has actually happened statewide. We have the benefit of some other people who have looked at this resolution and actually opted out. And this is an interesting list because the NRA put it together, and there were 61 communities that have opted out. And he also informed me that most counties didn't even take it up because most counties don't have parks departments or parks to think. It's mostly a local community type thing. He also said that although there's no updated list of the opt-outs, he has heard that the range is 70 to 80 of the number of communities that have opted out of this law. And it's bad law, and we should not let bad law go forward. And my big concern with it is if we would pass this, we put the gun owner, the permit holder, in a very precarious situation because he would not know when he would be on a school complex if he's in a county park because it's all or none. And Mr. Hood's group has provided me with some information that the only way we could actually do this would be to have some sort of a mechanism of signage. And to do that would be about $250,000 to say there is a school activity today in this park, handguns are not permitted. Now, that's about $250,000, and to me it's a permit holder want versus a taxpayer need, so I would think that they need to come up with that money if they want us to pass this. And also, I spoke with Senator Johnson last week about this and why the state did not take this back up. And he reminded me that last year when they were going through this process, there was also an amendment made that would have allowed permit holders to carry their weapons in Legislative Plaza, okay, which would be the same as like in our parks. Well, this amendment was defeated. And to me, it seems interesting that the people in Nashville don't mind weapons among our children or our grandchildren, but they don't want them around themselves. So if you're all counting votes, count those votes too, please. That's all I got to say.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions. First, on the resolution from the county school board. I just want to make sure I understand this. Is it the position of the school board that our students won't be allowed to have school activities anywhere that guns are allowed?
Dr. Looney, would you or Mr. Golden wish to address that? Dr. Looney?
Yes, sir. The position of the school board is that beginning tomorrow morning, should this board not opt out, then we will not permit school-related activities in the county's parks.
I'm sorry, that wasn't really my question. My question was about this. Does this resolution speak to, does it prohibit school activities anywhere that handguns are allowed?
No, sir. We make a distinction between events that we sponsor and events in the public domain. So as an example, if we're sponsoring a softball event in a county park, then we have the burden of responsibility to protect the spectators and the athletes. Obviously, the example was given earlier, should a group of students go to McDonald's, obviously that's not something that we're able to control.
So is it athletic events? I'm just not
It's
clear.
athletics and extracurricular activities. As an example, if Ms. Smith's third grade class wants to go to the park to do a study on butterflies, then should this body not act, then they would be prohibited from doing that.
So, but if, like, for instance, my boys in the school band, they stop at a mall along the way to Grand Nationals, but there's firearms that are allowed in that mall. Is that okay?
Well,
under this resolution here that the school board passed,
this
is that
resolution
okay?
doesn't address that specifically.
So does school board policy address that?
It would be permitted.
Okay. So if I think Nashville parks allow guns, is that correct?
That's incorrect.
That's wrong. Okay. Well, let's say that our athletes are going to a place where they are in a county park or in a municipal park where guns are allowed. Would that be okay under school policy?
No, it would be not. One of the responsibilities of our school personnel will be to vet the location of the activity they're going to.
Okay, I guess I'm just not clear on the distinction and why parks are singled out. My second question had to do with the and this is probably more for legal counsel, Jeff, had to do with the opt-out. I understand that the opt-out is all of a park or none of a park. I get that. Is that the case even when the school activities are in place, or is it, as it says here, at the it says at the playing field that's located in the public park?
I'm not, where are you reading?
I'm reading an Attorney General opinion. It says, by its plain terms, it prohibits the possession of firearms on athletic fields and recreational facilities, including those that are located in public parks, if such fields or facilities are actually being used by a school.
Correct.
So is that just the field itself, or is that expanded to the entire
It would be the park that is being used. Now, that's under the school law. That's not under the opt-out law.
Right, I get that.
That's a different interpretation, but yes. The statute that we're dealing with specifically states the entirety of it. The state, as it's been interpreted, the AG opinion is that it's the park that is being utilized by the school.
Okay, all right, that's just a little different than what I read there. Okay, I think that's all I've got for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Bain is recognized, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the question on Resolution 61011.
Second. Commissioner Lynch calls the second. Commissioner Bain called the question. Commissioner Lynch the second. All in favor of calling the question on Resolution 61011 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Noes, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ayes, raise your hand. Anybody else? Okay. So the question's been called for. Resolution 61011 to prohibit handguns in parks, recreation areas, etc. If you're in favor of this resolution as presented, press the yes button. If you are opposed to this resolution as presented, press your no button. And of course, clearly, as we've discussed it, if you vote yes, you will prohibit handguns in parks. If you vote no, of course, the obvious result. Record a vote, Ms. Anderson.
19 yes, 5 no.
Resolution is adopted. 19 yes, 0 no.
5 no.
Excuse me. 19 yes, 5 no.
Correct.
So the resolution is adopted as presented with no amendments. Okay? Moving on then, back to our regular agenda.
Yeah.
Resolution number 610-4, resolution to adopt the Williamson County Residential No Parking Policy. Commissioner Langston, please. Commissioner Mills, the second. Highway Commission reports 4-4, 0 against. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee 5-4, 0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Langston, please.
Yes, it seems as if there's been a lot of requests from different subdivisions or streets within the county for no parking resolutions, and this resolution adopts a procedure by which an applicant can apply to the highway department, then go to the sheriff's department. They feel like this would be a procedure that will work well for the county.
Questions of Commissioner Langston on 610-4? I see none. If you're in favor of this resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Lynch, please.
He's already gone.
Okay, all right. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no, will unanimously adopt. 610-5, a resolution to adopt by reference the 2006 International Building Code, the 2006 International Mechanical Code, the 2006 International Plumbing Code, the 2006 International Energy Conservation Code, the 2007 ASHRA Standard 90.1, and Chapter 11 of the 2009 International Residential Code and their amendments. Commissioner Walton, please.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Board of Adjustment and Appeals, 4-4, 0 against. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Planning Commission.
12-4, 0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Walton, please.
Yes, sir. The General Assembly, again, has passed down a law that has forced us to adopt. It's part of the Tennessee Clean Energy Act of 2009, and they're requiring us, the way I understand it, to adopt these international and different building codes.
Questions, Commissioner Little, please.
During the budget discussions, just want to point out that number 4 there was pointed out that will probably entail hiring a new position next year.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Parra, please.
How do we decide on this particular edition of each of those codes, 2006 this, 2007 that? How do we pick that particular edition of the codes?
We'll have to defer to
Mark, would you like to come address that, please?
Yes.
Yeah, follow
up. These additions were mandated to us by the state of Tennessee. The last time we had a code adoption cycle was in 1997, and the General Assembly passed a law that we cannot be within 3 years of a state-adopted code, and so the state has gone to the 2006. So that's how we came. We're just matching what the state's doing.
Okay. And do any of these codes have any effect on any of the new buildings we're building, schools and whatnot, to affect cost at all? And do you have any idea about that?
As far as costs go, no. It's just new additions of the code. It's updated every 3 years.
But there aren't new provisions in it that you see as, I mean, it doesn't matter. It sounds like we have to pass it, but I'm just curious on that.
No, sir, not anything.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on this resolution, 610-5? See none? If you're in favor of 610-5, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Green. Thank you, sir. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you very much. Unanimously adopted. 610-5. Resolution 610-7, a resolution to amend the rules and regulations pertaining to regulation of dogs and cats in Williamson County, Tennessee. Commissioner Hayes.
Move approval.
Commissioner Walton, the second. Committee reports. Let's see here. Animal Control Task Force Committee, Commissioner Hayes.
17-0.
Thank you. Public Health.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Hayes.
Yes, as you will look at your accompanying letter from Lisa Carson, who sent us a letter, we're in need of updating our rules and regulations. They were first drafted in 1978, were again looked at in 2004. And we do need to constantly have update and looking at what needs to take place and what do we need to do to improve the lives of our animals and our citizens, and also to make it efficient, to make our program cost effective. So the assignment was given by Mayor Anderson for a task force to study every aspect of animal control. We organized in January, started meeting regularly in February of last year. The first thing that we undertook was to build the framework of what our building would be, which would be hopefully the strongest and best animal control program in the state of Tennessee and beyond. And with that, we needed the framework. We looked at the framework we had, we looked at the framework that was based on the laws of Tennessee, and we looked at the framework that all humane associations had. We took field trips, we had guest speakers, we did a lot of study, we broke up into committees, we studied things in and out, we discussed and discussed. And we really have worked very hard in trying to come up with complete guidelines that will make it clearer for those people who work in animal control and those people who are responsible pet owners. If I may, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Charlie Beecham was one of our strong task force members. He and Lisa were going to both be here to speak tonight. Lisa had to be out of town, and Dr. Charlie had to arrive a little late. With your permission, may he come up to the podium and say a few words?
Come on up, Doc.
Overwhelmed by the crowd.
We wanted to, yeah, there you go. We get into the real thing, right?
Yeah, real thing. Seriously speaking, this task force has discussed, fought, refought, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different thoughts. We worked at it from a legal standpoint. We worked at it from a common sense standpoint. And the main objective, as Commissioner Hayes said, is to make this...
Doc, step on up close to that mic, please.
I don't like to be heard too well here.
I want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, anyway, let's back up a little bit. We had a great number of personalities, a great different kind of input into the thoughts and welfare of the animals in this county, how we think that we should be protected, yet maintain the rights of those who own them. And as Commissioner Hayes, when we want to make this a model area, there's a lot of common sense went into this, as well as a lot of legal discussion, and we came up with the resolutions that we thought were very good, very sound, and none of these were made without a great deal of concern and thought, regardless from what aspects of the animal world we're from, knowing there are limitations on all of this. But these rules and regulations are important, and we strongly suggest you vote favorably.
Any questions of Dr. Beecham? Commissioner Hayes, any follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Beecham. I also want to recognize, if I may, Dr. Michelle Barrett-Preston in the back. Would you please stand up, Michelle? One thing that has already come out of this have been free days for spay neutering for people who could not afford otherwise. Dr. Michelle and other vets have donated their time and have given back to the animal control program that we have all spayed and neutered 224 animals from qualified people who would otherwise not have their animals spayed and neutered because of this program. We also are in the process of having a large animal facility constructed at the landfill to hold our large animals that are found. We've also been working with Mars Pet Care, and we hope later to develop a disaster plan and also a better and more in-depth fostering plan. So we have a lot of things going on. We also, as you already know, had a donation of some $200,000 to equip our facility with air conditioning. There are a lot of things going on because of all the work that has been done by these people. And I'd like to read an excerpt from Lisa's letter, if I may. It says, in my opinion, the revised resolution provides clearer guidelines to our animal control officers regarding their authority and responsibility, thus enabling them to stay clearly within the applicable legal requirements when enforcing the law and educating citizens. Likewise, the clarification in the resolution will enable citizens to better understand their responsibility as pet owners in Williamson County. I've personally observed volunteers who served on the task force and the many hours of careful attention to providing the humane and proper treatment of animals while striking a balance with the property and privacy rights of the citizens. In the last step, she says, finally stepping out of my role as a county attorney and speaking only for myself as a citizen and member of the task force, I am of the opinion that this resolution is the product of a great deal of thought and deliberation, and am hopeful that each commissioner will give serious consideration to its passage. This does give guidelines to our animal control officers. When they go to a place to investigate, they have a clear set of guidelines now, which were not so clear before, and they will make some judgment calls. Our whole focus, folks, is on education and trying to teach what is best. We're not going in with big bats and try to arrest people. We're going in with a education wisdom. When we place animals in the homes, we want to educate as to what they need for that animal. We want to match the correct animal with the correct home, with the correct life. We feel like that this is the best solution to all the things that we have studied. If you will look at our task force list, cannot find a more diverse group if you look anywhere. We've had some real animal activists on here, and we've had some who, the first thing she said is, I don't know too much about animals, but I sure can throw a good party. But you know she can, and we hope to have a celebration party one of these days if we ever get through. But it's been a very diverse group, and it's been my pleasure to work with them, and I would appreciate your passage.
Thank you. Commissioner Greer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank Commissioner Hayes and the Special Task Force Committee for their work. There are a lot of good provisions in there, things that are needed, but I do have concerns about some of them. For instance, it says that cats are considered abandoned after 24 hours. My experience is that cats can take care of themselves for several days indoors and indefinitely outside. Many of the dogs in my district, which is still fairly rural, as are other parts of the county, would be considered running at large. So if we pass this bill, many of my neighbors will be in violation of the law. As legislators, I believe we have a responsibility to preserve the freedom that our rural residents treasure by not making their way of life into violations of the law. I first saw these rules last Wednesday. I know you've been working on them for over a year, but I haven't had time to study them, as most of the other commissioners haven't. So in order to have time to study them and to maybe make changes that would make it more appealing, I'd like to move to defer it to the July meeting.
Proper motions are second. Commissioner Parr made the second to defer to the July meeting. Discussion on that motion to defer. Let's see. Commissioner Chalfont on the motion to defer? No? Let's see, let me come back to Commissioner Hayes. You're the maker of the proposed resolution. Discuss, if you would, the motion that's on the floor to defer till July.
I certainly understand Commissioner Greer's concerns, and I wish I had realized that she had any concerns, she and Commissioner Parra, before this evening. I realize certainly what she's speaking of, the animals running at large. However, if I might call on our attorney, I believe that is addressed through the state law. It is a state law, if I might get him to say, and then I'd like to comment on the other.
Let's see, motion to defer. Yep, let's vote on the motion to defer, because the motion to defer is non-debatable. So you've heard the motion that's been issued here. Motion is properly seconded. Let's vote on the motion to defer. So if you would clear the machine, if you're in favor of deferring, and your motion is to defer this until July. That's your motion. Okay, if you're in favor of the motion to defer, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Hayes, you hadn't voted?
No, popped off.
Record a vote, please.
4 yes, 19 no.
Motion to defer is defeated. 4 yes, 19 no. So we're back to the resolution as presented. Discussion on the resolution as presented. If you would answer the question about running at large, Counselor.
First, the running at large definition and the section included in the regulations is not new. It is current law, both in the ordinance and it tracks state law. This ordinance would not change either definitionally or the prohibition against running at large.
Are the penalties the same? Are the penalties the same?
The penalty, under state law, they are the same. This would give a $50 fine under the county ordinance, and let me check and see if that was an addition or not. I believe it was. It's currently $10 up to $50. This just makes it $50.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Commissioner Greer. Commissioner Parra, please. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let me go, Commissioner Chalfont. I'm sorry, you were up next. Commissioner Chalfont, I recognize you, sir.
Call the question.
Question being called for. Second, Commissioner Bain, call the question for 610-7. If you're in favor of call the question on this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Noes, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, call the question has been approved. 8, correct? 8 voted no. So that leaves, you meant to vote?
You meant to vote to call for the question?
Okay, I was voting to call the question. The
Okay.
question has been called by Commissioner Chalfont. Commissioner Bain seconded. So if you're in favor of calling the question to cease debate on 610-7, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so opposed, raise your hand if you're opposed to call the question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are 23 of us here. So that's 16 votes to call the question. So the question has been called. Resolution 610-7. We're voting on that as presented with no amendments. If you're in favor of 610-7, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
20 yes and 3 no.
20 yes and 3 no. Resolution is adopted. Thank you very much. Resolution 610-8. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a contractual agreement with Star Physical Therapy for the provision of professional health care services for health insurance benefits. Commissioner Cook, please.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Purchasing and Insurance Committee.
4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee, Commissioner Little, please.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Cook.
This is so that we could have physical therapy services administered to county employees who are under our insurance, our health insurance plan, to be done at Star Physical Therapy, and it would be at a discounted rate.
Questions from Commissioner Cook on 610-8? I see no questions. If you're in favor of 610-8, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record the vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no. Resolution adopted. 610-9, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into contractual agreement with Star Physical Therapy for the provision of trainers at various parks and recreation facility. Commissioner Cook.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Mills, the second. Purchasing and Insurance Committee.
4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Committee. Jack? Okay.
5-4-0 against.
Okay, 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Cook.
Well, this was to enhance health care services for the physically active with Star Physical Therapy, and they would provide athletic trainers on site at various locations at no cost to the county.
Questions of Commissioner Cook, Resolution 610-9. I see none. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted. Commissioner Davis? Thank you. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no. We unanimously adopt. Resolution 610-10. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a contractual agreement with Star Physical Therapy for the provision of professional health care services for risk management. Commissioner Cook.
4-0 against.
Just move its adoption, if you would.
Yep, I move for approval.
Is there a second?
It's getting late.
Commissioner Little, the second. P&I 4-0 against. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Cook.
Star Physical Therapy will provide professional services for employees who are being treated under workers' compensation, and it would be at a discounted rate.
Excellent. Questions of Commissioner Cook on 610-10? I see none. If you're in favor of this resolution, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted that wishes to vote. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
Okay. 23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
There's nothing controversial about that.
Resolution 610-13, resolution authorizing Williamson County's joint participation with municipalities within Williamson County regarding joint bids on delinquent tax items. Commissioner Wilson.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry.
Commissioner Wilson, the motion. Commissioner Little, the second. Tax Study Committee.
Oh, that is 5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against. I'd like to offer an amendment.
Yes, sir.
The this resolution originated with the city of Franklin in mind because of a situation that arose with them, and so it was written with that. However, the situation may occur with other municipalities there, so I'd like to offer amendment that we include all municipalities in this agreement.
Proper amendment, is there a
Second.
second? Commissioner Cook, the second. The amendment is to, as laid out by Commissioner Little, include all municipalities in Williamson County. That's the amendment that's been offered. Any discussion on the amendment? If you're in favor of the amendment, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Voting on the amendment. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes on the amendment. Now the motion is amended, 61013, to include all municipalities in Williamson County. Further discussion on the motion as amended. I see none. If you're in favor of 61013, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Hancock. Record a vote, please.
Okay, 23 yes.
23 yes and 0 no. Thank you. Resolution 61015, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Williamson County Hospital District, doing business as Williamson Medical Center. Commissioners Langston and Hancock.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Commissioner Langston and Hancock. Property Committee.
6 in favor of, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Law Enforcement.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner Langston.
Next 4 or 5 items are renewing contracts with various rescue departments and volunteer fire departments, medical services around the county. These contracts, I believe, are for 3 years with a 3-year option on those.
Any other questions of Commissioner Langston, Commissioner Hancock on Resolution 61016? I see none. If you're in favor of 61015.
15.
Excuse me, in a hurry. 61015. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
23 yes and 0 no. Resolution unanimously adopts. Resolution 61016, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Williamson County Hospital District, doing business as Williamson Medical Center and the Williamson County Rescue Squad. Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, the second. Property Committee report.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Law Enforcement Committee.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Langston.
Again, this is providing services for volunteer fire and also medical services.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Langston? I see none. If you're in favor, press the yes button. 61016. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
Okay, 23 yes.
23 yes and 0 no. Resolution is unanimously adopted. 61017, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Paytonsville Volunteer Fire Department. Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, the second. Property Committee.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Law Enforcement.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation.
This is the same as the preceding agreements, again, for volunteer fire service.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Langston? I see none. If you're in favor of 61017, press the yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no. We unanimously adopt. Resolution 61018, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with Nolensville Volunteer Fire Department. Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, the second. Property Committee.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Law Enforcement, Public Safety.
Four in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, sir. Explanation, Commissioner.
Again, this provides volunteer fire service for the Noblesville area.
Thank you, sir. Questions of Commissioner Langston? I see none. If you're in favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody recorded the vote. Wish to vote? Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
Thank you very much. Resolution will unanimously adopt. Resolution 61019, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Flat Creek Bethesda Volunteer Fire Department. Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, the second. Property Committee.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Law Enforcement.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Langston.
This provides volunteer fire service for the Flat Creek Bethesda area.
Thank you. Questions? If you're ready to vote, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Everybody voted who wishes to vote. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
Thank you very much. 23 yes, 0 no. Resolution 61020, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the College Grove Fire Department. Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hancock, the second. Property Committee.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Law Enforcement.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Commissioner Langston.
Same as previous agreements with College Grove Fire Department.
Questions of Commissioner Langston? I see none. In favor, press the yes button. Opposed, your no. Record the vote, please.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no. Unanimously adopt. Resolution 61021, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Arrington Volunteer Fire Department. Coach Langston, Commissioner Langston.
Move approval.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Chalfont. Property Committee.
6 in favor, 0 against.
Law Enforcement.
4 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation, Coach.
Same agreement, this time with the Arrington Volunteer Fire Department.
Questions? In favor, press the yes button. Opposed, your no. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
23 yes, and 0 no. Late file resolution 61025, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of partial payments of property tax pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 6751808. To Commissioner Little, please.
Move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Tommy Little, Tax Study Committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. 5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Explanation.
Because of the flood, we had a company offer to partially pay their next year's taxes, and we do not have a mechanism in place in order to do that. And that's what this resolution is about, is establishing that mechanism. So we can accept partial payments of taxes in advance.
Questions of Commissioner Little on 61025? See none. In favor, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please.
23 yes.
23 yes, 0 no. And then the late file resolution 61026, resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute a contract between the state of Tennessee, Department of Transportation, and Williamson County for a trash collecting grant for fiscal year 2010-2011. Commissioner Langston, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Who was the second? Chalfont, Commissioner Chalfont. The second, Law Enforcement Public Safety.
7 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Budget Committee.
Did not come before budget.
Okay, didn't go before budget. Commissioner Langston, explanation, please.
I believe this is a grant, Sheriff's Department from the state.
Any questions on 6/10/26? I see no questions. If you're in favor of 6/10/26, press your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Record a vote, please, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes.
23 yes.
Another tree.
0 no. So, any other business to come before our body this evening? Let me congratulate and say to each one of you as members of this body, certainly I want to thank you for your very spirited discussion and conversation tonight as it relates to a very serious issue and concern in Williamson County, and I want to thank each of you for deliberating that issue. We gave everybody an opportunity to be heard. At the same time, we kept the proper professional decorum in this body that we've always tried to keep, and I certainly want to thank each of you for making a major contribution to allowing that to occur tonight. I think we did take the appropriate action to go ahead and take care of these issues tonight, and certainly thank you for doing that. Commissioner Mills, you have a comment before we leave, please, ma'am?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Juneteenth?
Sir?
Juneteenth?
Yes. If you look on page 8 in our brochure, you will see the Macklemore House Museum. And on Saturday, starting at 11 o'clock, and they moved the time from 11 over to 7, it will be Juneteenth. And for those of you who don't know what Juneteenth is, I don't remember that what I told you last time. This Texas, I hope nobody's here from Texas. Texas was rather slow with the emancipation, and the slaves in Texas did not know that they had been freed until 2 years later. And so when they found out, and it was on June 19th, and they just called it Juneteenth, and they started celebrating. So we here have picked that up, and so we will have a celebration on this coming Saturday, which will include food, of course, and also cake walk, pie struts, and if you remember all those. So we do invite you to come over and to participate.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Little?
Those of you that may not be aware that the distinguished lady sitting next to me has a birthday on the 4th of July that that a few people know about, and it's particularly important this year. I think she's turning 99, so we need to celebrate.
I tell you.
Commissioner Little, I always remember what Sister Mills, Commissioner Mills, has always told me is a lady that will tell her age will tell you anything. So certainly we respect the fact that she was born on the 4th of July, and we'll let her handle when. So anything else, Commissioner Walton, please?
I just don't know who to thank, but I appreciate the flags here tonight.
As compliments of Commissioner Hayes several years ago, and so we're always reminded of
And today is Flag Day, is it not? Very good. Thank you.
Today is Flag Day, and certainly thank you for doing that. Commissioner Hayes, I want to say too, I know every commissioner sitting around the table appreciates all the hard work and the many hours that you and all the folks did on this special program for the animals, and that took a lot of time, and thank you for doing that. Anything else? We'll declare the meeting adjourned. If you'll stand